Welcome to round number 3 of the AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series, an AMA National Championship. We're here in Washington, Georgia for the Maxxis General. Steve, talk to me, man. Round number 2, Caleb Russell picking up another win. Stu Baylor moving up the pack, taking a second. Talk to me about that XC1.
Yeah, unbelievable racing, Mikey, here at the GNCCs. Only the second round into it. You know, it's proof that you see Caleb Russell over and over again winning the 5 GNCC titles. You can see why. You know, those guys, I think Thad and Stu, are super fast and fit. Everything that Caleb has, Caleb just wants it more and has really put in the time. They both came from the back, Thad and Caleb, and just kept pushing and made it all the way to the end, and amazing again. Caleb pulled it off.
It was exciting. The huge conversation last weekend was that XC2, the battle between Ben Kelly and his teammate Josh Toth, man.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. Great riders, you know, both on the KTM factory team with Trail Jesters. Great riders. Got to work with them a lot last year and this year on some mental stuff, and unbelievable on the battle. Goes back and forth. Both of them want it. They're both used to racing each other, and they're living together in North Carolina. So it's one of those things you just keep pushing yourself. Amazing racing.
It's going to be an exciting one all year. And then the FMF XC3. Talk to us about that one, Steve.
Yeah, that one's neat too. You know, from the first 2 rounds, you've had a different winner. Alex Teagarden got the first one. Jesse Ansley got the second one. Jason Raines is back. He's always gnarly. He knows the lines. He's been doing this a long time. Really neat. Jacob Rowland with Team Grizzly Peak Racing got his first podium. Only 4 GNCCs he's ever done. So it's going to be an exciting year for all 3 of those classes, XC1, XC2, and XC3. And
now we're going to kick it over to Jared Bolton with a track description.
So we're back here at the General GNCC for the first time since 2015. This is a great facility. We took a couple years off, but since we've been gone, they've made a ton of improvements here. As you can see, the motocross track is a lot different than it used to be. They've done a lot of work here, and then we've come in and we've kind of changed things up. We used to be based off the other side of the property, and now we've moved over to the motocross side, where we've got the start, the finish, the pro pits, and basically all the vendors and everything based off of this side. And we haven't done that since the very first year we were here in 2003. So it's kind of breathed some new life into the facility. As for the woods, well, it's kind of similar to what we saw here before, but we've actually found some new trail, and we've used some old trail that hadn't been used in a good number of years, and it's kind of feels like a whole new piece of property. There's fast trail, there's some tighter trail for the quads, and then there's some really tight trail for the bikes that'll give the enduro type riders a little bit of an advantage come Sunday. We've also got the FMF PowerPoint going through the mulch pile, which we did here before. Now it's a little bit different. They've done a lot of work on that, and it's going to get real exciting as the weekend wears on. That mulch tends to get a little rough. And then we've also got the Monster Mile, which this weekend is definitely a monster. You got the course running up and over these great big dirt piles that'll they're basically like supercross whoops, and it'll definitely make things really interesting for the 1 o'clock races. So overall, this is a fantastic facility. We're glad to be back, and can't wait to see how everything turns out.
All right, the stage is set. That's going to do it for us here. Let's take it down to the starting line to get this race underway.
Maxxis General GNCC is going to be a good one. Let's meet our starting lineup. As we take a look at our starting lineup, rolling to the line first today, he is the #1 machine with 2 race wins so far here in 2018. He is ready to make 5-time GNCC champion on an FMF KTM backed by Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line next today, he is second in points after 2 rounds of racing, leading the most laps so far in 2018, but still short of that first win this year. Riding aboard the 514 from Belton, South Carolina on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line today, third in points aboard the number 989. One of the biggest threats on the line today from Williamstown, West Virginia on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna-backed Husky, Bad Thad Duval. Rolling to the line fourth today in points aboard the 739 from Morganton, North Carolina. On the JCR Honda, backed by Lucas Oil and Maxxis Tires, Trevor Bollinger. Rolling to the line today, fifth in points aboard the 114, a former GNCC champion from Australia. On a Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Josh Strang. A rookie here in 2018, the top posting rookie so far aboard the 523 from Fairmont, West Virginia on the KR4 Husqvarna, Lane Michael. Hailing from the great Northwest aboard the number 212 from Duval, Washington on an Am Pro Yamaha, Rough and Rowdy Ricky Russell. Featured on the event t-shirt here today from Belton, South Carolina on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, the 314, Grant Baylor. Back in his first year fully in GNCC racing for many years on the 121, a product of the GNCC Racing Nation from Logan, Ohio on a KR4 backed Husqvarna, Corey Buttrick. 10th in points, riding aboard the number 12 from Cookeville, Tennessee, under the guidance of the great Rodney Smith on the Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. And rolling next to the line, he rides aboard the number 410 from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania on a factory gas Fred Andrews Racing gas machine, Andrew DeLong. The number 717 from Clarion, Pennsylvania on a Buchanan Racing MPR suspension backed TM, Mason Atherton. Riding next aboard the number 113 machine. He is a former National Enduro champion and a GNCC great. Hailing from Jefferson, Georgia on Gnarly Roots KTM, Russell Bobbitt. The number 17 machine from Fort River, New Jersey on a solid performance KTM Fly Racing KTM, Jesse Grom. And last, and certainly not least, from Waterford, New Jersey on an SRT Kenda O'Neill backed Husqvarna, Wally Palmer. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this Maxxis General GNCC. As our riders find their way onto the starting line, we begin our starting sequence as Ricky Towery starts the clock. Timing and scoring gets themselves ready to go here today in the sunshine and red clay of Georgia. And of course, we turn our attention down to that front row, and that front row turning their attention to Ricky Towery, who lets them know still a little time to go here before GNCC gets back underway here for the two-wheel afternoon race at Aonia Pass. After a 2-year absence, we are back here. We salute our landowners here, of course, Mark Ridgway and his wife, rolling out the red carpet as all of Wilkes County and Washington, Georgia, has done for us to make the return back here to Aonia Pass so smoothly and such a great affair. We are back to our original side of the property where we were the first time in 2003. And let me tell you, folks, the energy that is here at Aonia Pass is unparalleled when it comes to GNCC racing. And now the energy level is about to step up 3 more notches. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute before we go racing here in Georgia. And this is the time, my friends, that things begin to start to get a little bit edgy for these riders. Their hearts are beginning to pound and their eyes are widening as they stare intently into turn number 1. And Ricky Towery lets these riders know with a wave of a blue flag, Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing. And I got to ask you, Aonia Pass, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Come on, guys, that was really weak. I'm just going to lay it out there. We've been gone here for 2 years. We are making our return back to these holy grounds of off-road racing. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go Maxxis General GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Maxxis General GNCC. $250 up for grabs as these riders round that first turn. It's going to be Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, and Stu Baylor, 1, 2, and 3. But the $250 will go to the number 1 of Caleb Russell and this early lead as we go to the XC2 Pro Bike class here now. The 250s, Craig DeLong, Sam Evans, Dylan McRitchie, also Cole Madison, Nathan Thornhill, Pascal Rockenecker, Austin Lee, Joseph Herrera, Liam Draper, Joshua Tote, Brendan Riordan, Philip Cheney, Harrison Helmick, Michael Witkowski, Bryson Dussault. Also, we got Evan Smith, Anthony Federico, Tyler Brandon, Francis Omele, Tegan Temple, Benjamin Kelly, Zach Nolan, Zach Hayes, Jake Froman, Braxton McGee, Ryan Francis, Nick Davis, Trevor Barrett, Jonathan Grior, and Jonathan Johnson. It's a 7:22 of Zach Hayes grabbing the early lead in this one. As we go to the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Jesse Ansley, Cody Barnes, Ryan Slopko, Jacob Rowland, Alex Teagarden, Devin Welch, Colt Kinsler, Dustin Simpson, Colin Keegan, David Quillen, Tristan Landrum, Hunter Shelton, Jason Langebeck, Jason Raines, and Chris Vendetti. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. Jesse Ansley, good jump off the line, but it's going to be the 116 crossing the stripe. Alex Teagarden, though, the 309 will grab that early lead out of Waynesburg, PA on the Coastal Racing Husqvarna. 258 bike, Chase Hayes, Dakota DeVore, Blaine Kearney, Kimry, Matthew Davis, Owen Guys, Luke Ross, Noah Clark, Lane Duttler, Barry Fernandez, Michael Pillar, Donlin Jeremy. 10 seconds. Brad Saxon, also Nathan Rector, Keith Ginley, Joseph Logan, Jason Key, Brewer Crawley, also JoJo Bowden, Jeff Lance, Jonathan McDougall, Julian Boswiski, Noah Stewart, Simon Johnson, Reese Bruner, and Landon Burner. And at the stripe, it's going to be the 385. Whoa, 444 pushing him out. JoJo trying to get out front. But Nathan Rector and JoJo Bowden now battling it out as we go to the 208 class. Joe Marsh, Tyler Centrino, Zachary Davidson, Brody Johnson, Michael Beeler, Dylan Semple, Chase Colville, Aaron Miller, Landon Lynn, Aiden Pox, and Trail Henderson, Ryder LeBlanc, Cole Johnson, Randall Irvin, and Travis Reynaud. 10 seconds. Drag race to that first turn. Who's coming out on top? Into the second turn to 5-1-3. Ryder LeBlanc from New Florence, PA on the MXTire.com Bell Helmets EKS brand bag machine. Four-stroke 8 lights coming up next. Johnny Manera, Michael DeLosa, Justin Murphy, Eli Childers, Chris McManus, Adam Hollenkamp, Blake Gibbs, Hunter Williams, Blake Grindstaff also here with us today. We got Russell Smith, Bolton Barab, Brendan Poling, Adam Parker, Brandon Keegan. 10 seconds. Connor Keegan, Jacob Chrisman, Riley Johnson, Eric Ross, Nathan Davis, Kevin DuPois, Tyler Daniel, Nick O'Brien, Braden Moore. All righty. 8:48. Nick O'Brien from Chillicothe, Ohio, on a self-sponsored machine, taking the early lead as we go to the Open A class. Levi Keller, Connor Smith, Zach Tussle, Jaron Williams, Evan Earl, Alan Jones, Levi Cagle, Jeremy Lanthier, Zach Brown, Ryan Quinn, Corbin Patton, Matt Kerbin, Joshua Munsrud, Brock Cagle. 10 seconds. Maxwell Randolph, Tyler Soriano, Hunter McDaniel, Joshua Lee, Eric Guys, Roger Jackson, Cope Becker, Andrew Wilson, Jason Lipscomb, Brian Coster, Corey Jordan, and Ryan Overton all off this line now. Open A bike, 28 riders heading into that first turn. The 34 of Levi Keller from Bainbridge, Ohio, on a Honda, grabbing the early lead there. Vet A class, Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Sean Royal, Kevin Rammer, Louis Oleon, Thomas Vance, Gallardo Melo, Christopher DeFriends, Jose Correa, Surly Amancio. 10 seconds. Graham Metis, also Buddy Barnes, BJ Bariska, Nathan Alring, Andrew Matusik, Brandon Ladon, Luencio Sanchez, Bill Zavindi, Nick Cabasso, and Nicholas Nyman. At the 67 machine of Jared Hoffman from South Park, Pennsylvania, on a Shakely Vitamin RSR suspension team library back machine. Senior 840 plus class, Jeffrey Odell, Shotgun Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Gregory Ertzen, William Lackey, Kevin Knott, Odair Silva, Frank Messina. 10 seconds. Jeff Husted, John Beaver, Rick Burton, Ivan Banga, Bob Bergman, Patrick Tobin, Shannon Hatfield, Larry Silva, and Jeremy Dexter. .333, I thought, maybe not. So we go to the next class here. We're looking at Mark Horesco, Andrew Boggs, Tyler Burton, Devin Burke, Stephen Young, Dustin Ulrich, Matt Jankovic, Nathan Zicklow, Brandon Marley. 10 seconds. Joseph McCarty, Chris Cothran, Lucas Towery, Colton Hawk, Jesse Kildlow, and Sammy Doris. I believe that's, well, 432 maybe. 452, Christian Cothran out of Greenwood, South Carolina, taking the early lead in that one. Open B classes where we're headed to next with riders like Max Sorge, Connor Potts, Gabe Praxis, Jordan Lawson, Max Horesco. 10 seconds. Ivan Tulala, Brenton Bothman, Joseph Webb, Christopher Williams, Devin Pomanitsky, Evan Young, Matt Bluffy, Joe Doran, Kelly Williams, Jacob Barnes, Ryan Kerr, Dylan Ely, Corey Burton, Andrew Davis, and Drew Norris rounding the first turn down. Let's see who's got the early jump on this one. 447 on that one. That is Matt Bluffy from Weston, West Virginia, on an ST&E MPH Enterprise back machine. Senior B40 plus class. Coming up next, we got Mark Proper, Devin Ferguson, Chad Evans, Derek Russell, Kevin Nations, Willem Hollenbeck, Rodrigo Silva, Ken Anderson, Jason Stickley, Joe Maurice, Jeff Galbraith, Gene Swidwa, and Scott Matheny. 10 seconds. .920 on the machine, 456 on the helmet there. Jason Stickley from McDonald, Pennsylvania, on a Lenovo Racing Steel Motorsports Stickley hauling back machine. 4-stroke B lights coming up next. Cody Moorhead, Garrett George, Morgan Scott, Jacob Gibbons, Hayden Dillon. 10 seconds. Bryson Jenkins, Garrett Robertson, Nick Vassy, Chad LaFollette, Grady Faint, also Zach Maley, Gatlin Welburn, TJ Fine, Tyler Sylvia, Jake Easler, Hunter Hensley, and Bill Saliga. Billy Saliga. .707 Tyler Sylvia out of Monticello, Georgia on a V3. Off-road cycle specialty fly racing machine. 250B bikes coming up next. Kyle Prismont, Jake Borum, Kevin Cotton, Gideon Friedaz, Riley Miller. 10 seconds. Landon Ray, Aaron Waltrip, Sean Cochran, Dominic Goff, Jack McMakin, John Cross, Philip DeGenis, Ian Flynn, Dustin Stanley, Robert Whitlock, Chase Phillips, Cole Whitmer, Zachary Sanders, Jackson Ways, also Andrew Coffey, Jared Messer, Tyler Gentry, Blake Bowman, and Gage Gorlizik. 240. Jake Borum from Richmond Hill, Georgia, sponsored by Maxxis Tires and Hills Performance Tuning. And 200B bike class are coming up next. We got Sean Myers, Chase Hall, Mike Overstreet, Tanner Kirkman, Ryan Ladon, Justin Gibbs, Josh McCoy, also Justin Snipes, Jacob Harmon, Robert Hancock, Bailey Parker, Colby Davis, Trent Gaither, and Hunter Scott. $9.54. Hunter Scott from Petrolia, Pennsylvania. The Vet B30 Plus class, Wes Morris, Larry Hopper, Sean Morris, Jeremy Stowovi, Randy Rabor, Mikhail Gomez. 10 seconds. Robert Jones, Agostino Salza, Devison Goudar, Gary Bissang, Joselie Ramos, James Fawcett, Alex Fraser, William Bryan, Brian Dotson, Ross Kennedy, Neil Hood, William O'Brien, Justin Ramsey, Matt Modick, and Ben Conaway. 21 riders off of this line, and the 911 stealing the show right there at the very end. Ben Conway out of Howard, Ohio on a Team Conway Jacobs Moto point view back machine, and that is your starts as we've got over 300 riders on this near 12-mile long race course that we have out here today, folks, and it's going to be a good one. A couple of years since we've been back, a nice flowing trail, some tight sections, the Monster Mile, it's all there, and the players aren't playing. Caleb Russell taking off with the lead. He had Stu Baylor, also Josh Strang, and the whole host of XC1 riders right behind him. How's it all going to shake down? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV-MC, get ready. And by Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here. Mikey Waynes with Taylor Jones in booth. Taylor Jones joined us today after her big win in the AM race out of the WXC. And, of course, Johnny G will be in the booth with us, as well as the voice, Rodney Tomlin, getting us going there down on the starting line. And Steve Hatch will be with us as well. So to get things started, I think we're going to take a look at a replay for the XC1 hole shot, perhaps. I know it's going to be a replay of Caleb Russell. Oh, here we go. Rapid replay. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC rapid replay. So this is at the 4.5-mile marker. Caleb Russell well out in front of this one. Well, I shouldn't say that. There was someone right behind him. Is that Strang? Strang was in the number 2 spot. Taylor, let me know if you get a good shot of those guys, but it was Strang in the number 2, and then in the 3rd place.
Looks like Ricky Russell going in there.
Ricky Russell was in the 3rd place
Stuart
spot.
Baylor in 4th.
Stu Baylor back in the number 4 position. So there we go. A shot at the 4.5. Again, this is a rapid replay. So keep in mind, not a live shot, but a replay shot of our leaders in the XC1 moving through this 4.5. Well, to kind of set the stage for today, got Taylor Jones in the booth with us. Taylor, welcome. And you had some good luck this morning out there in the AM race, and I think we're going to take a look at a highlight video here from you after the race.
All right, down here with Taylor Jones. Taylor, 3 wins in a row. It was a huge battle in round 1. Round 2 was all you. This one, it got real close there toward the end.
Yeah, I got off to a good start, and then the first couple of laps I was just riding by myself, but on lap 3 I got stuck in a mud hole over here. And then I had another drama just after that. So Becca caught right up. She even overtook me for a little bit. And then the end of lap 3, we're going into the field, and I got back in front of her. And the last lap, I just put in a charge and try and pull as much as I could, and I got with a win, so I'm happy.
There you go. Taylor Jones picking up her 3rd win on the year here at the Maxxis General.
Well, Taylor, you got the win. Talk to me about that finish, though. What happened there at the finish?
Well, the first 2 rounds I got the win and just like revved the bike a little bit and done something cool. But this one, like Stu said, oh, you should do something better than that. So I decided I'd try a wheelie, and I can't wheelie.
Well, that's all right. You know what, though? You can ride. You can race. 3 first-place wins under your belt. Also wanted to give a quick shout-out to a new class we had out there this weekend, the Platinum class. What is Platinum class? That is 70-plus. These guys over 70 years old. So I wanted to give a shout-out to Tom Ebersole as well as Tom Leviski, both finishing out there in the 70-plus class. And then just to name a few riders that were highlights from their home state, Keith Potts out of the Super Senior B class picking up a win today. Terry Post picking up a win in the Masters B. Michael Grizzle picking up a win in the Masters A, all in their home state. So big shout out to those guys and a congratulations. So Taylor, talk to me about this track. Obviously you were out there this morning picking up the win in the WXC. What can these guys expect out of this Georgia track?
Yeah, the track's definitely tough. It's very soft out there after the rain yesterday, and a lot of soft spots, and it's going to be tough with a lot of like rough parts. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be tough for all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And joining us in the booth, Johnny G,
Johnny, you had an opportunity, obviously, to race yesterday on the ATV side of things, and then helping Becca out today in the pits. What are your thoughts on this track here in Georgia?
Yeah, you know, it's a pretty dynamic course. It's amazing how much it's evolved over the course of the weekend. We've come here for so many years. You would think that you've seen all this place had to offer, but realistically, this place offered up some surprises this year. Racer Productions, track crew, the GNCC guys did an awesome job of cutting in quite a bit of new trail, which is surprising for as long as we've raced here. As we can see here, it looks like Ricky Russell on screen, and Bollinger in second. That appears to be Caleb Russell in third, and then Thad Duvall in fourth. Oh, look at this. Bollinger going for a pass for the lead, and Ricky Russell stuffs him and blows him off the track. So these guys are they're definitely not wanting to give up position this early, and we got 4 heavy hitters up front early on, and that is Stu Baylor there in the 5th place spot. Couldn't quite see who that was. As we're looking here, we're looking at the Google image of the track, and you can see it's a nice long 13-mile course here that really does wind its way around this entire piece of property here at the Aonia Pass facility. The start finish is over on the north end of the moto track. It goes from there, it heads out through a thick patch of woods alongside of a picturesque pond. You don't have much time to look at it, but deep into the course here, the Monster Mile. This is a new feature this year with Monster Energy coming on board with GNCC. And here we have Mike Holbert is working his way through the Monster Mile, showing us just what it was all about. Now, keep in mind, Mikey, Taylor, this wasn't part of the morning track, but if you went over and looked at this, it was super unassuming when you looked at it on Friday. It didn't look like it was going to be anything too bad. Well, then what happens is you run, 400 or 500 quads through that thing on Saturday afternoon, and then obviously this afternoon, another 400, 500, 600 bikes through that, and it becomes basically a set of supercross whoops on steroids. There's holes, there's cups. They took the skid steer through there and just basically took a big pile of dirt and turned it into a gnarly roller section. Goodness. So they wanted to keep things interesting for the boys in the afternoon. You can see those unique green arrows there, signifying that you are in fact on the Monster Mile. Mike Holbert's sending it through there. He's trying to double his way through, make a few less hops just to see exactly how rough that is there. But the course really shaped up nicely, Mikey. It got deep in some places. The track crew went back out, bulldozed quite a bit of stuff, and made it a little bit smoother, but it really did shape up to get pretty rough during the morning race for you guys, Taylor. I know there was a lot of riders out there, lines developing everywhere, and it sure was tough. We're taking a look here now at the FMF PowerPoint, which is essentially a mulch pile on steroids, and that has also gotten pretty rough. I believe when you're looking at it here, again, it's one of those things. The Friday video just doesn't do it any justice. Right now, I believe, Taylor, you guys ran through that section, correct?
Yeah, we ran through that, and right now it doesn't look anything like that. It's just full of whoops and a lot of different lines, pretty deep at the moment.
It's really getting dug out, and that's for the folks at home to understand the way that GNCC course develops. This is a unique perspective. You guys get to see a little bit of footage of things before they start happening, and throughout the course of the day today, we're going to get you as many camera angles as we can to show you what this race course looks like after nearly 2,000 riders have traversed it throughout the course of the weekend. Looking like we've got some of our other classes out here on the moto track. This is just after the 4. You come out, loop onto the motocross track right next to the finish, but don't get excited because you still got about another 9 miles till you get to come back there and actually call it a lap.
It's a 13-mile course is what they're working with today, so that was a great look at it. If you guys tuned in last weekend, you probably saw some of that drone footage. We're going to have a lot of that today. Got great reviews on it. Can't thank Ian enough for that, Ian. Give you a shout-out there.
Look at this. Russell, hey, I don't mean to cut you off, but Mikey Witkowski just working his way out of the beta pits there, so that is unfortunate. Early in the race, looks like he had to come in for some repairs to either himself or the machine. So that was one of our front runners at the last round in Florida. So we're hoping Mikey can get back up there and possibly salvage some points for the day.
I'll get over there here in just a little bit, get a track report on that. We also, one of the things we forgot to mention, Corey Buttrick, just after the start, he had to come into the Husqvarna pits right here, the KR4 pits rather, and work on the bike. What was he doing over there, Taylor? He's having some trouble early on.
Yeah, it looked like he snapped his rear brake lines. He had to go and get the practice bike out of the trailer and swap him over, but he lost a fair bit of time. It's going to be hard to catch back up now.
Yeah, to say he was frustrated is an understatement. We could hear it from here, man. We feel your pain, so hopefully he can get out there and salvage something out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's unfortunate, and to happen that early in the race, all the riders that are going to pass him, that he's going to essentially be starting back probably with the A-class or maybe even the B-class racers. So it's not out of the question, but for him to try and salvage some points, he needs to make it up into that top 20 overall, because that is what counts for our XC1 Pro riders, just those overall points. Class points don't mean a thing.
Yep.
So he needs to make it into the top 20 to score even 1 point. So we'll keep an eye on that today, keep everybody appeased of his progress. So an uphill battle for Corey, and obviously, again, Mike Witkowski, who we just saw in the pits as well. So a couple of our top dogs having a little bit of struggles early, but one rider that definitely doesn't seem to be struggling is Ricky Russell. We see him out front leading. Again, Trevor Bollinger in second, and I think we're about to see these guys in the VP Fuels Pro row.
There's Ricky Russell right there coming in. And Bollinger behind him, and Caleb Russell behind him in third place, with Josh Strang right behind him in fourth.
Thad Duvall.
Thad, excuse me.
Yep, no worries.
Wrong one. Same team, wrong rider.
And there we see Stu Baylor, Jordan Ashburn, Josh Strang, and Lane Michael were the next riders as they come through, followed by hometown boy Russell Bobbitt. Danger Russ is out there doing a kind of one-off appearance here at GNCC. He did ride the first round in South Carolina, but this one's close to home, and he just really wanted to come and put on a show for the fans. Keep in mind, Russ Bobbitt had a great ride going a few years ago here. It might have been 2015, actually. He was very nearly on the podium throughout much of the day, ran up there, and I think just missed the podium at the end of the day. So he's definitely got the skills. Hometown help him out. There is Grant Baylor, followed by Evan Smith and Andrew DeLong and Jesse Grom. So as these guys work their way through VP's Fuel Pro row, they're all jockeying for position, trying to work their way up into the top 10. Grant Baylor, the rider on the T-shirt this weekend. Whoa, Andrew DeLong getting into the banners. Tell things are a little slick down there.
Just a little bit. Well, how about this, though? We had a highlight or a rapid replay early on. At the 4.5, Caleb Russell was out in front. Obviously, no longer the case. We saw that video of them working through the wood section there. Trevor Bollinger fighting for that top spot. So, man, almost similar to yesterday. We've got kind of a same scenario going on with a mix-up right there at the front in the get-go.
Yeah, here we see our XC2 riders coming through, and that is Josh Toth out front, followed by Pascal Rucknicker. So there's your top two. Missing from that trio is Ben Kelly. Looks like Ryder Lafferty. Don't know who the 717 is there. Austin Lee, the 123. And there is Ben Kelly. So Kelly got a little bit of work to do if he wants to get up in there. I think that's Jonathan Johnson there. And these guys are actually headed out to the Monster Mile, so I'm sure we'll have a camera shot from there. Taylor, it looks like the grease on top here. We didn't have any rain since the course has been run, but obviously this is new sections. Was it pretty slick out there on the first lap today?
Yeah, first lap was pretty soft on top because they went over it with the bulldozer. And I've just seen just before this race, they went and watered this pro row section, so it's very greasy with this red dirt, so it's definitely tough.
So when you get, these guys are out here, they're on the track, they have not seen, here we're watching Ricky Russell in the Monster Mile. You can see him kind of supercross style doubling his way through these sections. He's trying to find a smooth line through where there definitely is no smooth line, but he's making it look good, he's making it look easy, and he's starting to pull a little bit of gap on Trevor Bollinger there in the number 2 spot. So not much, but just enough that it's starting to open up. Here we see some of that cool drone footage. This kind of really gives a unique perspective, and you can see Thad Duvall, he's kind of known for his moto skills. Caleb Russell, no slouch himself, but right now these guys are, oh, look at this, he is able to double out of the Monster Mile. I tried that yesterday, it did not end nearly as well for me. Came up just a little bit short, left a drain plug mark on the top of the landing there, but Thad Duvall working his way through. So there are your top 4, and it is Ricky Russell leading the way, Trevor Bollinger in second, third place is Caleb Russell, and fourth place is Thad Duvall. Those guys are pretty much wheel to wheel with Ricky Russell starting to open up just a little bit of a gap there.
Well, I tell you, we got some differences, it looks like, in the running order, which we always seem to have a little bit of jumble up and some excitement at the first part of the race. But if this is kind of an indication of what we saw yesterday, if the racing's going to be like that, that should be pretty good. We had good, tight racing. I think we had really tight sections that kept it tight, and those good open field sections gave some passing opportunity. It made it pretty exciting to watch yesterday. I think we're going to be in store for that again today.
Yeah, it really is a pretty dynamic race course. It offers up quite a variety. Look at this, Wild Wally Palmer just sending it through the water there, not scared to hold it on. We do know that about Wally. He did not get the name Wild Wally by being conservative, that is for sure. He's really pushing it through there. Now we see Austin Lee, and it looks like, oh, look at this, Ben Kelly trying to make a move on Austin Lee through the Monster Mile, trying to work his way up there. Kelly's starting to see the leaders get away, and he looks like he's getting a little nervous, wants to do whatever he can do to to try and get up there and make that a three-way battle for the lead.
Well, it seems like there's a little more rhythm through there today than what we saw for some of the ATV guys yesterday. But regardless, this is going to be a very pinnacle part of the racetrack. I think we're going to see a lot of action taking place here today and maybe even some critical passes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they took the skid steer through there and made that a two-line. It splits on the way out both directions as you're going out the first time and the second time. Oh, Ben Kelly trying to make a new line up over the bank there. Didn't quite pay off for him. Not able to get around Austin Lee. Now we see some more of our XC2 riders working their way through the Monster Mile, and our XC3 riders have actually started to work their way through the VP Fuels Pro Row. So we got riders all over the course, but the Monster Mile is what you're watching now, and what you're seeing is a battle between, I believe that is the 722. Is it? Yeah, that's Zach Nolan on the 722, battling with another rider in that XC2 class. Can't tell who that other rider is, but they are feverishly battling over position.
Well, right now we have our leaders checking in at the finish line, Johnny, just to give you an FYI. So one lap in the history books. If you're watching timing and scoring, Ricky Russell is out front. Bollinger in the number 2 spot, about 8.5 seconds back officially when they came through the finish. Caleb Russell was only 1 second off of Bollinger. Thad Duvall another couple seconds back in 4th, and 5th place was Jordan Ashburn, 5.9, call it 6 seconds back. Lane Michael in 6th. 7th place was Josh Strang. Russell Bob at 8th. Stu Baylor in 9th. Andrew DeLong in 10th. He was about 26 seconds back. But for the most part, our top 10 is pretty tightly knit. They can all see the riders in front of them in most sections.
Well, two things that I noticed there is you got two gaps kind of there in that little train of riders. And the first one is Ricky Russell has been able to open up that gap a little bit over Trevor Bollinger. Only 8.5 seconds, but still, when we last saw them, or one of the last times we had seen them, Bollinger was actually trying to make the pass on Ricky Russell, so that might have fired him up and sent him out. I know I spoke with Ricky a little bit yesterday. He is not at all happy with the way the first 2 rounds went. He was a podium guy at the end of 2017. He was on the box every race, or just about every race towards the end of the season, and starting off with, I think he said he was 7th in the class and 11th overall at each of the first 2 rounds. So a guy that's accustomed to getting podium finishes is not okay with 11th. That's not where he wants to be, and he said he's been working everything he possibly can this last week to get things squared away, so he's back on the box, and looks to be looking good for him here early.
Yep, for sure. And I know that Randy Hawkins, I'm sure, has been in his ear a little bit, trying to give him some guidance and direction, keep him focused and pushing in the right directions as we're out by the 12-mile marker where the Monster Mile is. They tell us this is a near 13-mile race course today. That's, again, another one of those long tracks, but this one offers up a lot of variety like we talked about, but as long as the track is, the lap times don't really seem to be overly long. I mean, the first lap may be a mile, half mile shorter than the rest of the track. We're still turning a lap time of 28:16, so there are some areas of speed out there for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, they're telling us the leaders are at the FMF PowerPoint, so they're working their way through the, there they are. That looked to be maybe Bollinger. Oh, no, that was Russ Bobbitt, and there's Baylor. That's the other thing I was going to point out is Stu Baylor, 11.1 seconds behind Bobbitt there in that 9th place spot. When we had seen him a little bit earlier in the lap, he was in that 5th place spot and just barely off the back of Duvall. So something happening there with Baylor to drop him that far back. He's a rider that we're accustomed to seeing, these last few races up front and in a podium spot. We know that he's capable of making those charges late, but last race he really surprised us, putting the speed in early and gapping these guys. So things not going Stu Baylor's way this early in this one so far on this first lap, but I don't think it's anything to panic about. But those were the two things that popped out to me right away, was how much ground Baylor had lost and how much that little gap that Ricky Russell was really able to open up there.
Well, that's going to make for some excitement, and like you point out, Stu's generally, recently been a sprinter up front the last couple of rounds to start the season out. We know what he's capable of, and the beauty of it is that he's not too far off pace. Yeah, he's an 11-second gap between he and the 8th place ride, but I think once Stu gets himself rolling, we'll be just fine. Mikey Wayne's in the pits right now with an update.
Hey guys, down here with Jameson in the beta pits. Talk to me. We saw Mike Wachowski come in early on the track. What's going on?
Yeah, we just had a little bike issue, a little bogging out. We got him in here, got it fixed, we got him sent back out. Salvage some points up.
There we go, guys.
Wow, tough break there from Michael Wachowski. I know that rider is really looking to do some good things. And Rodney Smith is looking for good things out of him as well. And you can tell by watching the mechanic there how frustrated he is with the circumstances. Hopefully that'll all pan out. And, well, folks, as you can see right there, our finish line, and you see that beautiful Aonia motocross track, and as these riders make their way across the finish line, you know, some people might think and wonder sometimes, how do you keep track of all this? And what's really cool is there's some really cutting-edge technology out there, and GNCC has always tried to be on the forefront of that, and right now we got some pretty cool things happening at our finish line. We actually had a chance to catch up with one of our scoring gurus, Mr. Kirk Sessions.
I've been scoring GNCCs for about over 20 years. Everything from barcode scanning all up to the latest transponder that we're introducing this year. So everything's, we're always progressing to do the latest technology. So have a lot of experience behind us. Basically, we get the start times of each row, so everything's time adjusted. So you can still get an overall even if you started on the third row. And we use transponder timing. We have remote checks that we timestamp them at each remote check, and when they come to the finish line, we get their timestamp at the finish line. The new transponder we're introducing, we will be able to, at some point, get real-time checkpoint results while the race is going on, and be able to do live feeds and stuff from that, you know, as time progresses. So we're running two systems now: the legacy Sport Tag transponder, and then the new one that we came out with this year. Well, right now, GNCClive.com, we send all the results up live. I know there's talk of an app coming out later on with the new technology that we're using, so you know that'll be later on. But right now, GNCClive.com is the best place, and you can get the app. You can also see the results on your phone.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the new scoring system up and fully rolling here pretty soon. So we know we got some pretty cool things on the horizons. Thanks to Kirk Sessions for that information. As we roll here, we have our leaders checking in. Here's the way things are breaking down. Top 10 basically belonging to the XC1 class until you get to 9th place. Josh Toth has moved into the #1 position in that class, and he is leading Pascal Rochenecker, the 117, by only 3 seconds, and Rochenecker is in the #10 spot.
Yeah, you know, Rodney, we've Pascal's really been an interesting addition to the series. Came in with a lot of hype and delivered big at round one, well, not round one, the first round he raced last year at Ironman, coming through with a big win. Coming out this year, it really has been a little bit of a, I don't know if you could call it a sophomore slump for him, considering he's been on the podium both races, but I think it just really does go to show how competitive that XC2 class is right now with Josh Toth, your defending champion, Ben Kelly, you've got Austin Lee, Craig DeLong. I mean, the list of talent in that class is pretty deep, as it always is, but this year it seems maybe even more so than normal. And Rochenecker, I know, had some struggles in Florida from what I heard, quite a bit of skin gone on the palms of his hands after the race, you know, just maybe not fully accustomed to the 3-hour format of GNCC, and I'm sure he had a week to get those hands healed up, maybe get some new skin on there, super glue, whatever it takes to get him ready for this event. But yeah, that's definitely a battle to watch. Those guys, you know, between Kelly, Toth, and Rochenecker, they've been really pushing the pace there in that XC2 class, and I don't anticipate it'll be long before we see those guys up, potentially battling for overall podium positions. Looks like our leader, Ricky Russell, is out on the backside of the moto track. That is about the 4-mile marker or just before. Now watch this. These guys are not moto guys, but there you go. A little bit of style over top of that big step up there, and that's a fun little jump. Shoots you pretty high. Ricky Russell, he's no stranger to a moto track, and he is still leading. Trevor Bollinger, the 739 machine. Oh, Bollinger goes down, and that will allow Caleb Russell to make the pass and Thad Duvall, so that will drop Bollinger all the way back to 4th, and maybe 5th. Yep, he's going to hang on to 4th for now. Nope, he drops back to 5th. Looks like he may have a problem with that machine. So unfortunate turn of events for Bollinger there, running strong in the 2nd place spot. Now he's back just in front of Lane Michael, so I believe that would be for the 6th place spot. So dropping himself from 2nd all the way to 5th place there.
Wow, what a tough break for him. And it was just kind of a simple little wash out there on the moto track. Good hard packed surface out there. And he was looking ahead. You could see the way he was watching. He was looking to see how far ahead those guys was. He was ready to make some charge. But unfortunately comes up a little short, and that'll reassess the running order. So now it's Ricky Russell, Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall in third, Jordan Ashburn in fourth, and Trevor Bollinger in fifth, with Lane Michael right there on his rear wheel in the number 6 position.
Another thing we did see in the background there, Rodney, was Stu Baylor did come by. He had made the pass on Russell Bobbitt, which would move him up to the 8th place spot, but he was still behind Josh Strang. So Strang still in 7th. Now it would be Stu Baylor in 8th, and then Russell Bobbitt in 9th. Now we should see our XC2 guys coming through, and I think that may be them there. It is, and look at that. Josh Toth, and hot on his heels is Pascal Rocknicker. Ooh. Oh, wait, actually that is not Toth. I don't know who that is. I am completely at a loss for who we're watching on screen.
Trying to pick up the numbers myself, Johnny. Looks like maybe just...
oh, that is an XC1 rider
that
they're passing. So it's possible. It looks like Rocknicker may have taken the lead now. Oh, that's Jesse Grom, an XC1 rider that they were passing. It is the number 17. So we don't think we saw Josh Toth. Taylor, did you see Toth on screen there?
No, I haven't seen Josh come through yet.
So we'll have to watch again here at this Moose Racing Parts Unlimited little feature of the track we got here.
That looks like Josh.
That's Ben Kelly, I believe. Hard to tell, but we might get to see him here. There is Ricky Russell. That's who we know who it is. Ricky Russell leading the way, and he's trying to open up that gap over the hard-charging duo of, here they come. There it is, the number 1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. That is more than 8 seconds. He has opened up that gap a little bit more, and I think right on Russell's rear wheel, we're going to see that 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Thad Duvall. These guys are charging hard, and they better get going if they don't want to let Ricky Russell get away.
I'll tell you, Ricky seems to be riding rails right now. There's no doubt about it. We saw him do this in Snowshoe last year. Once he gets out front, there he was tough to slow down and stop, and you almost have to wonder if maybe he's in that situation right now, because I know
we see Baylor has now caught up to the back of Strang and has made up even a little bit of ground on Lane Michael. So whatever issues he may have had, he's recovered from them, and he's back up there.
I know, talking with Randy from over at Ampro Yamaha, he was telling me, you know, these guys, they're all great riders. They're all capable of winning. He said, you know, I'm really a little disappointed in the way that Florida has gone. But he says, we're going to have some talks. We're going to reassess some things and see if we can't get things focused a little bit differently. And whatever kind of talks he had with Ricky this week seemed to have worked, because it's got Ricky right up front.
Absolutely. He looks great, and he's charging, and we see rejuvenated Ricky Russell.
15 minutes or so when we'll see a second lap wrapped up. We're 41 minutes into a 3-hour race. And, of course, keep him honest. Did you talk about your race yet? All right, and sorry about that, but sitting here chit-chatting with Taylor still, and watching the racing action going on. And Taylor, there was a question that I have for you in particular. You raced this track earlier today, and we're watching these riders. There's not much gap and things, but there are a couple of areas where there might be some 15, 20-second gaps between some of these riders. The question that I have, how easy is it to make up time out on this track? I know yesterday's ATV racing, they had some tighter sections which closed things up. Will we see that same thing on the two-wheel side of things today?
Yeah, definitely. There's like 2 or 3 bike-only sections that are really tight. Trying to get through the pines, it's like only 5 width wide. So they'll be tightening up and being really close to each other in that area. And then there's like a few mud holes. So if you take one wrong line, it's going to slow you down a lot and close up the gap there definitely too.
Well, I tell you what, Ricky Russell, like we said, has been made a major turnaround. Not that he had anything bad going on, but, you know, sometimes when, you know, you're only as good as your last race type scenario situation, and not that Ricky was bad, but he didn't have the results he was looking for. So he's really hard on himself, I think, coming into this event. And whatever it was that he did, he got himself psyched up. It certainly worked. And the RacerTV crew had a chance to catch up with Ricky leading into this weekend's race.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's brutal, and then coming into this weekend only with a 1 week break, you really just have to take it easy that week. Really, we put in the work in the off season, so there's no reason we need to be working hard the week of this event, having only a 1 week break. But yeah, I mean, Florida, like I said, didn't go to plan for me, so I kind of struggled, and I really wasn't tired or wore out just because the way I rode, I kind of didn't push like I should have, and so I'm feeling really refreshed and ready to go for tomorrow.
Cool. So any special plans for tomorrow? Like, what's the game plan?
Game plan, as always, get that Yamaha out front early and just be with them top guys throughout the race. You lose them, and it's just hard to make up that ground back up to them and catch back up. So as long as I'm with them, I know I can run that speed and be up there in the end.
Well, I will say this, it's not going according to the game plan because he meant to hang with the guys up front. Now, wait a minute, he's the guy up front now, and he's trying to blitz away, and that's okay whenever you switch the game plan like that, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. He's got off to a great start, and he's out in front of these guys, so hopefully he has a good run and doesn't get stuck anywhere and can hold it.
Well, we'll see. I know that in some of the most adverse conditions, rough and rowdy Ricky Russell, he's pretty good about powering through some of the tougher conditions, and I think, if it comes to the track and course and things like that, I don't think he's going to have any problems there. It might be some lap traffic. It might be just a mental mistake out there someplace that cost him the race, but I don't know that anything's going to cost him the race right now. 8.5 second lead's what he had over Trevor Bollinger, and it was only 1.1 seconds when they came through the finish line back to Caleb Russell, but whenever Trevor went down on the moto track, there was a little bit more of a gap back to Caleb Russell, and I'm thinking it was more like a 5-second gap. So add another few seconds onto that gap between Ricky Russell and Caleb Russell right now. We're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 13-second gap in my estimations right now, Taylor. And even though when you got Caleb Russell on your tail, no gap is comfortable, Ricky is riding about as comfortable as one can ride right now, and he's riding his own race. He's setting the pace.
Yeah, definitely. He looks good out there, but as you said, having Caleb Russell behind you is never an easy task. So he just needs to keep pushing forward and not start looking back, and hopefully he can keep it upright.
Well, we'll keep an eye on him to see if he can keep it upright. Let's check in with some of these other classes real quick. The XC2 class, one that a lot of folks like to keep a very close eye on, and for good reason. The way things are shaping up there was a 3-second gap between Toth and Pascal Rockenecker. One thing that we noted, we didn't see Toth go through, but again, that doesn't mean that we didn't miss him out there. But there was only 3 seconds, and we got a really good shot of Pascal. So there's a chance that there might be a little bit of a change right now. But Ryder Lafferty, the number 336 from Dorothy, New Jersey, is running in the number 3 spot. Austin Lee, the 123, was 4th. In the 5th place position was Benjamin Kelly, and that's our top 5 running here at the end of the first lap. As far as the points standings are concerned, we got a tie coming into this one with Benjamin Kelly and Josh Toth at 55. Pascal Rockenecker is 42 points. He's in 3rd. Austin Lee 4th. And Craig DeLong back there in the number 5 spot. Craig, talk to Craig today, too. He doesn't seem to be too pleased with his results, but at the same time, he's not too displeased because he knows it could be a lot worse at this point.
Yeah, definitely. He's had a tough couple of first rounds, but he has the speed. He just needs to find it and put it all into place. And who knows, this could be the round he gets up there. But having Josh out front, we didn't see him go through. But if he's still there, it's going to be tough to catch him now.
It most certainly is. And Pascal Rockenecker is in position to try to make that happen right now. And actually, Johnny was talking about him a few moments ago, and really making some big waves coming in last year with his initial run, and then, into the season this year. I got to say, pretty impressed with what he's been able to achieve. I don't know about himself personally, but we did have a chance to talk with him about that and a few other things leading into the weekend.
It's a great experience. I love it over here. The people are great, the team is great, and I really like it.
So tell me, what brought you to the United States?
I did the race at Ironman last year, and I got the win, so I got this opportunity from Costa Racing and Husqvarna to come over, and I took it, and so that's why I'm in America.
Tell me about the opening round.
Yeah, the opening rounds were decent for me. I had 2 solid 3rd places, was twice on the podium, so I can't complain about that. I'm looking forward to the next rounds, and hopefully I can do better.
Yeah, and I think that he's got to be pretty excited, too, with the way things are rolling for him. Pascal Rockenecker is going to be one to keep an eye on here in 2018. We are at near the 4.5 to 5 mile marker, and I believe an 8 mile marker shot here, too. So we'll be waiting for our leaders to check in here at the 8.5 now. And looking at the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Jacob Rowland, Tristan Landrum. And there is your leader, Ricky Russell, at the 8.5 mile marker, making his way through right now. So we'll try to get a little bit of a clock on this right now to see where he's at. As far as ahead of Caleb Russell at this particular point. There, was that Russell that just went through? I don't know if that was Russell or a lap rider. I think Russell coming through right now. So we're some 15 seconds, about that 15-second deficit that I had calculated there, and nothing really gained, I don't think, right now by Caleb Russell, but nothing really lost at this particular point either.
Yeah, they're keeping it pretty much the same right now. No one's catching, but no one's really losing. They're still staying within 30 seconds for the top 5, so could be anyone's game at the moment. Just looks like Stu had come through and just in front of Josh Strang, so it looked like he made a pass there.
Wow, so Stu is on the move right now. He started out this lap, I believe, back in a 9th place position. He's gotten around Russell Bobbitt to take over the 8th place position. Now he's taken over 7th place from Josh Strang as he looks ahead. Should only be about 5 seconds or so. We should be seeing Lane Michael as the possible next victim for Stu Baylor if he can reel him in. And saying good afternoon and welcome to an 8-time National Enduro champion and one of the greatest off-road representatives for a company, one of the greatest companies, I think, on the planet, Moose Racing. We're talking about Dick Burleson. Dick, welcome to GNCC Live. Welcome back to another great year of GNCC Racing as well.
Oh, you know, it was really cool to come back here. The little rain we got yesterday was perfect. It was as good as I've seen it at this place. The ground was like moist, but not super muddy and slippery. So we're just stoked to be back. I had a little issue with the lack of air in my front tire, but other than that, I still had a great time. You know, and I have to say that from Moose Racing standpoint, we're so stoked that Taylor's riding for us. She's like so good. It's awesome. So and a good representative for us. So thanks a lot. You really we're really stoked to keep you. Have you riding for Moose, so that's for sure.
I'm stoked to be a part of the company.
We just need to keep it going, you know. We need to keep it going. But as far as coming back here, there's been not a lot of changes, but it seems like it's grown and matured a little bit.
Well, I mean, if you look at the property itself, I mean, the first couple of years we came here, we were actually parking and pitting on this side of the racetrack where the motocross track is. As GNCC expanded and grew, we went to a different part of the property. That part of the property, part of it is being used for pasture now. A very small part of that is being used for pasture. The biggest part of the property that we were on is actually being taken up by a new highway system, the 4-lane coming from Thompson to Washington, which I think is obviously something needed in this area, and I think it'll be really cool for this track as well. It did take a little bit of the property, but at the same time, it's going to offer even better things. Josh Strang out at the, Ricky Russell at the 10.2 mile marker out there as he continues to try to maintain that 15-second or so pace ahead of the rest of the field out there. And
looks like Caleb's caught up a bit, and Thad's still right there. I think there's only like a 5-second gap now between Ricky and Caleb.
It's amazing how quickly that happens. And you were out there. It's not hard to find a situation, either one of you. You know how quickly you could get cross-rutted, get hung up on a tree, or just take a long line.
The most of the trail is really good, and it flows pretty good. It's got a bumpy and stuff, but there's holes out there that the ATVs kind of tore up, and it's just the low spots that are all holy. And you put that many guys through it, all the ATVs and then motorcycles this morning, and you put it through it, it gets a little sketchy. So, it got wider and wider. There is good lines, but if you're just like trying to catch the guy in front of you, don't even look for a line, just like put your head down and go full gas. You can get in trouble.
Was that Strang that we just saw?
Yeah, that was Strang that just came through.
Yeah.
So he is back in the, I believe we've got calculated number 8 spot. So Stu should have came through just before him, and we should be seeing Russell Bobbitt check in a few seconds behind him now. But things here on this second lap, we were really tight on that first lap, and we were talking about that. now we are starting to see it stretch out, at least in that XC1 class in some places. It's starting to tighten back up front, obviously, it looks like. But we're about ready to see the XC2 class come through this section now, and we'll see what's going on. So Pascal has taken over the lead.
Yeah.
Looking fresh, looking good, and maybe on his way to the win here today. So now the big question is, what happened to Josh Toth? There's our leaders actually in the pro row. Caleb Russell is right there. Is that Thad Duvall gotten around him right there, I believe?
No, Thad's still sitting behind Caleb.
Okay. That was Caleb that went up pro row right there, right? That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, hey, Rodney, that was definitely Caleb, and then followed right behind him was Thad Duvall. There went the 5-2-3 of Lane Michael through pit row right now.
All righty, so that's where we are, and we're approaching the finish line region. I think if we take a look at the overall right now, according to timing and scoring, we're about 3 minutes out. So this is where we're going to start getting the true tell of the tape when we close in on this last 3 minutes or so of this lap to see whether or not Russell and Bollinger Russell and Duvall have been able to close more up on that leader, number 212. Ricky Russell. Taylor, I understand you got to go, hon. It was real good to having you on board with us today. Congratulations on your win, and good luck to you in the future, all right?
Good job.
All right.
Good job.
So Taylor taking off out of here today, and really appreciate her help. Her father in town with us out of Australia, and he's going to have to go back this evening, so she's got to head over to the airport. But, man, what a great show. And, you know, Pops has got to be proud of that one, huh?
Well, you know, to a huge degree, she's made it happen herself. That's one of the things that gives me so much pride in her. For her, you said, I want to go racing. I want to go to America where it's really the best people. And for her, it's guys, too, because she's guy fast.
Yes, she is guy fast.
So she's guys fast. And to come over here and make it happen is super impressive. Yeah, really impressive. But you know, you want to see your family.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I mean, she's still a young girl. To get away from her family, a little tough. But yeah, it's good. You know, really good.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, for sure. Now, let's talk a little bit about Moose Racing. You guys are back out in full force here on the GNCC trail again. And one thing, you know, we talk about Moose Racing, the official attire of GNCC. There's a reason why that is, because you guys make rough, rugged, durable clothing for all types of conditions. Ricky Russell out at the Monster Mile right now, the last time we'll see him coming through this section on this lap. And look at that, he's still got company coming in. And this is going to get pretty hairy, I think, whenever we get closer to the halfway point of this race. We're approaching the 1 hour mark. Let's keep an eye on this right now, Dick, and see how this is going to shake down as our leaders do make their way toward and look at this. I think that Thad Duvall might be in the market to try and make a pass right here on Caleb Russell. He's closed up about 3 bike lengths, maybe 4, on Thad through this section of Monster Mile. Now he's checking out different lines. He may have went a little longer there trying to find a smoother line, but he is right there. He's searching for lines. He's trying to find a way around Caleb right now to get in that second place position so he can lay chase to Ricky Russell.
Well, you know, one of the things you're talking about, the different lines, those guys are smart enough to know you don't follow somebody else into a line because they're probably going to roost you. So that even if it's maybe a little slower, he's going to take an alternate line, look for a way, still always looking for a way to get around. That's how you stay going forward.
Russell Bobbitt out there in the number 8 position as we see him going through the Monster Mile right now. About 10 seconds due at any time at the finish line is Ricky Russell along with Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall. We'll get an official account of what the gap and deficit is at the end of lap number 2 here.
So they're at lap 2, and we're not quite an hour out, so we got a lot of racing left to go. So.
Yes, and one thing to point out, I think we're going to be maybe a couple minutes different on the second and following laps as opposed to the first lap. I think the first lap will be the fastest because I think it's a little bit shorter than the rest of the track out there.
Yeah, you bypassed a little bit of it for sure.
So out here in the Monster Mile, I believe, is this our leader in the XC3, the FMF XC3 class right now, making his way around? Looks like one of the top FMF XC3 riders. I know we got Jacob Rowland, 216 out of Hardinsburg, Indiana, out front in this class with Tristan Landrum only 2 seconds behind him. Jason Raines was 2 seconds behind him, and Chris Vendetti was 4th, and then Alex Teagarden in 5th, and they were all within 15 seconds, 16 seconds, 1st to 5th place. That's a pretty tight run going on right there.
That's good racing there. Yeah, that's good racing. Those guys are all good. The experience, they're going to just stay in there and hammer it out. So it should be good. Getting back to when we get towards the last couple of laps, really, that's when it'll tighten up.
All righty, let's take a look at this now as we watch the motocross portion of this track. 2 laps down now. 29:06, just as we had intended. The lap times would be a little bit longer as opposed to a 28:16. I will say this, Caleb Russell checked in still under the 29-minute mark, as did Thad Duvall. Both those riders turning 28 58s and a halves. Thad was 1/10 of a second faster, but regardless, Russell and Duvall have closed up that gap a little bit, so we're looking at a 1.5 second gap between Russell and Russell, 2.7 seconds between Russell and Duvall. Now, you put yourself in, it's going to be a 6-lap race, and Ricky Russell is out front right now. He's got 2 of those laps behind him. He's got 4 more laps to go, and we haven't even hit the halfway mark. If these guys have chased him down, what do you think is going through his mind right now? I know you follow this racing, and you think from a racer standpoint, being out front, when somebody chases you down like that and you got a long way to go, what's the game plan from here on out, Dick?
Well, the trick is to go as fast as you can but not crash.
Right.
That's the trick. And so he wants to stay ahead and make his own way, not get involved in any other traffic, trying to really avoid, they're going to start getting in lappers big time. So you gotta really pay attention to when you're coming up on some lappers, and just go fast, but don't make mistakes. That's how it's because here this track's got some holes that'll just reach up and grab you. And that's what what they got to avoid.
Josh Strang around now. I believe he is your 8th place rider. He just checked in on the 8th place position, 3.5 seconds behind. 9.8 seconds behind Stu Baylor. Baylor right now just under 11 seconds behind Lane Michael. Let's look at some lap times, do some comparisons right now. 28:58 are the lap times for for Caleb and Thad right now. The next fastest lap is a 29-minute flat turn by Stu Baylor, who's back there a little ways. We start adding it up. There's 10, 16, we'll call that 20, 27. So within 30 seconds, Stu Baylor is of the lead position right now for Ricky Russell. He's within that 30-second time frame, and he has been making up ground on Ricky. Not much, but a little bit. That time he gained almost 7 seconds on him, on Ricky Russell anyway. But at the same time, everybody else is gaining on him. And while they're gaining on Ricky Russell, they're pulling away from Stu Baylor. So he's going to have to hope once those guys get up there, they battle with Ricky, that's going to slow it down. Maybe he can gap that 30 seconds, get a few more positions up through there.
Well, there's a whole other factor, too, is that it's sunny and it's dry, and the track is starting to dry out pretty hard. And there's spots that are moist and slippery, and then there's a lot of it's turning into we're almost getting some dust. So the conditions are changing. The guys got to watch what's happening with the track conditions, but they're all getting ready. I think most of them will pit next lap. They're already pitting, some of them.
Yeah, there's Alex Teagarden in the coastal pits right now, taking a splash of gas. He is FMF XC3. I think he's your points leader, if I'm not mistaken, with the reverse background number plates there. He checking in the number 5 position last time around. We'll see where he's at when he checks in here just a few moments at the end of lap number 2. He had Jake Rowland ahead of him out of Hartinsburg, Indiana. I think he's one of the big IXCR guys up at Tristan Landrum, the 704, who was no slouch out of Nelsonville, Ohio, was only 2.3 seconds back of him. Jason Raines, we all know Jason, former XC1 racer, also a former national champion in national hare scrambles, and basically an all-around great teacher. He's got his own writing universities and things like that and clinics that he puts on. And sometimes talking to some of these riders that race against him, there's clinics that go on the racetrack itself. Chris Vendetti and Alex Teagarden. We're going to see how that all is shaping up here in just a moment. These guys are due in, I'm going to say within 5 minutes, we'll see them there at the checkers, or at the finish line, if not before. We're still a ways away from checkers, only an hour into a 3-hour race. Officially, it looks like an hour and 2 minutes and 53 seconds at mark. So now it's a matter of a waiting game. I want to check in with the other of these classes because I want to kind of set the stage. We've talked about this pro classes and the XC2 pros and the Pro-Am class with the 125s there, but some of the classes we haven't talked about include maybe that 250A class that we're seeing a lot of rising stars out of. JoJo Bowden, the 444 out of Lockport, New York. I hope I'm getting his name right. I've always gotten it wrong. I think I've always said Bowden is Bowden. But JoJo, the 444, a 1 minute and 4 second lead to start this one off on the first lap over Michael Pillar, the 368 out of Dover, Ohio. That's a pretty phenomenal lead at the end of one lap of racing.
One lap, that's a big lead. That's a big lead, yeah. So he's going to, it'll be interesting to see if he can continue to pull out.
So Dakota DeVore in the number 3 spot, Brewer Cawley in 4th of the 258 class, Simon Johnson in 5th. We're out near the 3.5 mile marker right now on camera here with RacerTV. We're waiting on our leaders, and we'll see whether or not Caleb Russell has been able to best your leader, Ricky Russell. We got Ricky Russell, Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall. Those guys should be coming out nose to tail here pretty soon when we see them. Now, this is what you were talking about there a few moments ago. They were going to start running in the lap traffic. Not sure how far they are behind these guys, but if you note, they're not moving at a blistering pace, these guys aren't. So they will be. If they don't catch them on the moto track and they have to chase, and they chase them down in the woods, it's going to make it, that could be the scenario that Stu Baylor is going to be looking for anyway.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of experience passing other guys for enduro trails. Maybe help him.
Leaders coming in, I believe, is what we're being told. Still no, I don't see him just yet, so we'll wait here. Oh, okay. I wonder what you would say. So we're waiting on Ricky Russell, Caleb Russell, and Thad Duvall, Trevor Bollinger, and Jordan Ashburn. Got to tip your hat to Jordan Ashburn. Going with the beta this year and Rodney Smith, I know that Jordan has really shown some glimpses of greatness the last few years. And unfortunately for him, he didn't have the best finish to last season. He didn't have the greatest of starts to this season. But I think that maybe Jordy might be looking for a little redemption.
It's all mental. You got to get your head on straight, race one race at a time, and always try and move forward. You know, you can't be pondering bad results from the past. You have to learn from it and then go forward.
That's it. Lane Michael running in the number 6 spot right now. 7th place with Stu Baylor checking in. Josh Strang was 8th. Pascal Rochenecker in 9th overall, leading the XC2 250 class. And Russell Bobbitt was 10th overall. Ben Kelly, 2nd in the XC2 250 class, is 11th overall. Josh Toth has dropped to 3rd. So we saw an early leader drop back to the number 3 position. And Ben Kelly stuck right in the middle of that right now, 24 seconds back. You take a look at lap times right now, 29:26 for Pascal. Ben Kelly, a 29:28. Not much difference in their lap times, but Josh Toth dropped a whole 30-minute and 2-second position. As we take a look at points right now for this championship after 2 rounds of racing, you can see the perfect season yields Caleb Russell right now a 14-point lead over everyone, including Stu Baylor and Thad Duvall, who are tied coming into this round of racing. Trevor Bollinger is the 4th place position holder with 33 points, and that right there is interesting to see that they're tied for 2nd place position. There's our leaders coming in now, and a new one at that. Caleb Russell has taken over the lead. Ricky Russell in 2nd. 3rd place is Thad Duvall, and I have to wonder, will we see a pass on this moto track, Dick? Here they come. It is Duvall trying to rail that outside and just trying to find that line that is going to lock him into the now number 2 position around Ricky Russell.
Interesting, like I was saying before, now you're starting to see some dust out on the moto tracks. It's a little bit different. The track's getting hard.
That looked like Bollinger had caught back up to those guys. Whenever he checked in, he was 7.6 seconds back. But when they went in that wood section, it almost looked like he was right there.
Yeah, he was right there.
So Bollinger back on the gas again. We're getting ready to head to his hometown in about 3 weeks to Morganton, North Carolina. That is actually the first place that we ever had a chance to meet him. And then I think it was a 4-stroke A class or something. He won the top amateur that day, and he has been a part of the GNCC Racing Nation since that point.
Stepped right up to it and maintaining it now.
Yes, he is, with a factory Honda ride at that with Johnny Campbell Racing. So our hats off to him. But right now in the pits, we're seeing some pit action over there. I know Mikey Waynes is keeping an eye and ear out on what's going on down through Pro Row right now. So far, there hasn't been a lot of excitement. We haven't heard or seen any major discombobulations out there. It seems to be, at least at the moment, a rather cut and dry day. Not for this guy so much, though. It's not so cut, not so dry. There is the 113 of, looks like Russell Bobbitt. I think Bollinger, well, we seen Bollinger go by there a few moments ago, I believe, but Stu Baylor went by there a few moments ago. Josh Strang is by, or coming by here in just a moment, if not already. So we are waiting and watching with bated breath as these riders make their way into the heart of this course. As you can see, this moto track is really, I think, capturing a lot of the race fans' attention, and rightfully so. This and the mulch pile and the Monster Mile are 3 very good places to watch racing and to witness passes take place.
And that Monster Mile is pretty interesting. It's just piles of dirt. It's real soft, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all weirded out. It's kind of like weird whoops, but soft dirt whoop kind of.
And it's neat the way they did that. They made it out there like that. And Caleb Russell at the 4.5, working on actually closer to the 5-mile marker on this shot as they make their way down, and then they'll come back out at the 8.5-mile marker. There goes 2, there goes 3. And who is this? Was that Duvall? Did he get back in amongst some of those riders and get split amongst the crew there, or did I miss something there? Man, Caleb Russell really on rails. There's Josh Strang all the way back here now. So Strang is actually not far off pace of these guys either. Whenever you look at the big picture, you start doing the clock here. Look at these gaps after 2 laps of racing. 1.5 seconds between first and second. 2 seconds back to third. 7 seconds back to fourth. Another 3 seconds back to fifth. 5 seconds back to sixth. 10 seconds back to... That's still pretty tight, I think, as we are now into the third lap of racing, and these guys are really starting to find their flow and their groove. Can we expect it to start stretching out today?
I think those guys are going to stay together and just minimize mistakes. That's what's with lappers and the holes. They found their good pass through that stuff, and now it's all about minimizing mistakes, and keeping the pace up. It's I expect it to be. I don't think it's going to spread out. I think it's going to stay clumped up pretty good.
Well, while they continue to make this race the race that it is today, and I'm with Dick, I almost have to think that we are still a ways off from being able to exactly speculate on what the rest of the day is going to be like. There's Pascal Rachenecker, your leader of the XC2 250 Pro class now. We're putting a clock on that one to see what his gap is back to the second and third place rides in this. Again, remember, it was Ben Kelly, I believe, who had moved into the number 2 spot as he'd gotten around Josh Toth out there.
Yeah, there hadn't been a whole lot of swapping out of positions. They kind of got into their place, and after the first lap, staying there pretty good. Everybody's staying close, though.
Yeah,
20. You want to stay in touch. They're staying in touch.
They're staying in touch, but Rockenecker's getting long distance here. We're looking at near 30-second gap that is opening up between him and Ben Kelly now in that number 2 spot. And I'm going to have to wonder if maybe it's not even a little more than that. And I am wondering if it's a little more than that. Is finally Toth is making his way in. That's your third place ride. He was only 9 seconds behind Ben Kelly at the finish line. So rather interesting right now. Pascal Rockenecker has found his flow here in Georgia.
Yeah, which is, maybe that ground suits him. Who knows?
Comparing this ground to, we had red dirt in South Carolina. What's the difference in this dirt and the red dirt we had in South Carolina, Dick?
Oh, I know. This is a lot of clay.
A lot more clay. There's a lot of sand in South Carolina, right?
There's a lot more sand there. This is more clay. It gets hard, and then when it was wet, it got deep, kind of soft and deep. Although the ATVs tend to push off the loose stuff on the top, and then you get this hard surface underneath that's slippery. I think the difference is more clay here.
Right.
Although there's occasional rock, which I found this morning. There's some occasional rocks out there, yeah.
Well, there you go.
And a lot of roots, too.
Well, there is your number one in the Josh Toth in the XC2250 Pro class, and he's making his way by. And if I'm thinking this has really opened up a huge gap in between that first to third place position. Pascal Rockenecker is really on rails right now. If what I just saw happening going through there is the case, but regardless, we continue to watch this one an hour and now 13 minutes into this race. As I'm going to check in with some of these other classes because we got a little bit of time between these next shots with our leaders. So let's find out what's going on out here in some of these other classes, starting with our Senior A. The 40-plus class out of Woodford, Vermont. A lot of North New Englanders coming down for this one. 61 of Jeffrey Odell is your leader by only 0.2 of a second after their first lap of racing. He was racing against Fred Messina out of Campbell Hall, New York. 7:20, Larry Sylvia out of Monticello, Georgia was third. Shotgun Sean Remington from New Salem, Pennsylvania was running fourth. And Ivan Bangaden out of Noonan, Georgia, the 450 rounding out the top five. Looking at our next class that we take a look at, Max Horesco, the Open B class leader. Devin
Pomerantski.
Yeah, how do you say that?
Pomerantski.
Where do you get the R at? That must be a misspelled in.
That's what I've been told.
That's what you've been told. That's all right. It's closer than what I could have been.
A friend of mine from Myrtle Beach.
Oh, well, good. Well,
yeah.
Say that one.
Pomerantski.
Okay. Just what he said. Trenton Baughman, the 379. He is your third place position holder as Matt Bruffy, the 447, is fourth place. By the way, like you said, Ricky Russell having bike problems is the reports that we're getting, and that might be a reason why we're starting to see him, that gap close so quickly and things start to happen. So tough break for Ricky Russell, man. Whenever you're out front like that, you push yourself to certain limits, maybe hit a tree, maybe hit a rock, or get one of those ruts. It really stinks for him. So we'll keep an ear out, try to find out what's going on with Ricky Russell. In the meantime, want to familiarize yourself. If it's been a while since you've been here to Washington, Georgia, you don't know what this place is like, I'm going to tell you, it's very historical. There's some Revolutionary War battles that were fought here, Civil War. There's a lot of history here concerning the Civil War and just general history in general, I should say, as far as United States history is concerned. Mikey Waynes and Alicia McCormick, one of our ATV WXC riders, had a chance to go about town and check things out here in Wilkes County.
Well, I think
Mikey Waynes here with former WXC champion Alicia McCormick. We're here in beautiful downtown Washington, Georgia, checking out some of these American historical sites. One of the things we found right behind us here, the Fitzpatrick Hotel, formerly known as the Columbus Inn. Alicia, give us a little preview.
The Fitzpatrick Hotel was built in 1898. It's one of Washington's oldest structures that's still standing. In 1895, there was a great fire, and it burnt this half the block. This was flooded, and it was most recently restored in 2001.
So there you go. There's a small little tidbit of information. We're going to find out more when we go inside and talk to the bartender, Amber Hagen.
Hi, this is Alicia McCormick here. I'm at the Fitzpatrick Hotel with Amber Hagen. And what better way to get a brief history from the bartender? Amber, I understand that it was flooded and that it was renovated in 2001. And just looking at this woodwork here, is this original woodwork?
This is original woodwork. So basically what they done is it just came in and they kind of touched it up and polished it. I mean, and that's with everything that's in here as far as the architecture goes.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What are you doing, buddy?
Well, how was the tour?
It was great. This place is amazing.
We'll take it back to you guys in the booth.
Well, thanks a lot, Mikey and Alicia. Nice, and as Dick was saying as he was making his way out, some other interesting was that Adams or Jefferson had the last meetings of the Civil War right here, and just a very historic place. You can look it up. Wikipedia through the Washington County history, or the Wilkesboro history, and just Washington, Georgia in itself. Just a great place. And right now we are an hour and 17, almost 18 minutes into this. Reports from Ricky Russell are that he is out. And I've got a man about heading down into the pits right now to find out if we can get a lowdown on what might be happening with Ricky Russell and the situation that is unfolding out there. And what a heartbreaker for the 212 as he had an amazing lead, started opening up a pretty good gap. We saw that gap close very quickly. We wondered what the problem was, and we almost have to think that whatever issues he is having would be that. There is, whoa, is that a new leader there? Duvall out front and Caleb Russell in second, so we've got a new leader in this one. Caleb has dropped to second, Thad Duvall in the lead, and if you see right behind him right now as we are being joined by Steve Hatch, a lot of lap traffic out there, so that could be the key to what happened to get Thad Duvall into the #1 spot. As we say hello, Steve Hatch, welcome back to GNCC Live.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, it's great. I was just out there, and it's chaos for sure. I was around the grass track, the mud holes, the monster spot there that's crazy, and man, it's typical Georgia. It's technical. You mess up at all. I just threw a few logs in some lines that I saw some guys almost endo, like third gear pinned. It's just that soft mud in spots that actually has the kickers in it, so you have to pay attention. Sometimes it's hard, and most of the times it's soft with tree roots in it.
Well, Thad Duvall coming into this one, you know he's looking for his first win of 2018. He's been right there knocking on the door the first couple of rounds, and how's it making him feel? Well, we had a chance to stop by and find out.
You know, it doesn't really bother me. It's just same routine. You come into here, you don't have a lot of time to rest in between, but you know, we did the recovery we should, and you know, I feel strong and I feel ready to go. You know, this place, we haven't been here since 2015, and it was one of my favorite places on the circuit back then. So, you know, we're allowed to check out the track on Saturdays now, and I was able to check it out earlier, and just I had a smile on my face the whole time. I really enjoy this place. It's really rooty and gnarly and kind of ruddy, and you know, I feel like that's kind of like my home roots. So, you know, I'm even more excited for tomorrow after looking at the track today. You know, and it rained last night, so I feel like it made the track even better than what it was going to be. So, you know, hopefully we'll be on the center of the box tomorrow.
He is obviously stoked right now out front at last check, and we just saw Ricky Russell pushing his bike down through the pit, Steve Hatch. What a heartbreaker there, and there is the bike. And sounds like we might have somebody standing by down there. We got Mikey or Johnny down in the pits right now?
Hey, Rodney, this is Mikey. I'm down here, going to try and get a word in with Ricky. Guy looks exhausted right now, rightfully so, very frustrated. See if we can get a word in with him here real quick. Sure, the last thing he wants is a microphone in his face, but we'll find out what's going on here in just a second. But does not look good.
Well, you can see they got the bike. There it is, Mikey. Go ahead.
Ricky, obviously not exactly, well, not at all what you wanted your day to end up like, man. What happened out there today?
Yeah, no, I can't catch a break. Been struggling the first 2 rounds and felt good here. We was out front, so it was where I needed to be. And it's just something small on the bike went wrong, and yeah, it's not going to start back up today. So bummer, really bummed.
It is a bummer. Well, there you go from Ricky Russell himself.
You can see, man, he knew he had that one in hand, or at least it felt like he had that in hand. He was feeling well. That bike, he was one with the bike. I was watching him, and I'm sure you saw him out there. This was Ricky Russell that was ready to win today. There's Caleb and Thad on screen right now as we're watching the benefactors of Ricky Russell's misfortune.
Yeah, exactly right, Rodney. One of the tricks is, you know, it's part of racing, but it seems like notoriously it's always when you're in the lead or having a great day that something might put you off track a little. But, you know, hopefully you get those out of the way. And I know he was looking for a good race, coming off a couple tougher ones. It looked really good, like you said. Watching out there, I'm running around looking at lots of the lines and the speed and paying attention to what these guys are, you know, racing. And they all had great lines. Ricky looked on point, and this is a lot like, you know, Washington, where he came from, really greasy, tree rooty, slimy. Picking good lines is 90% of it.
And out here, like you say, starting to dry up. We heard them talking about the rain. If you watched the ATV racing yesterday, we had perfect track conditions after the rain showers overnight and through the morning. I mean, couldn't have asked for it was the perfect amount of moisture put down in the soil yesterday.
Yeah, and having the quad guys with an epic race yesterday was great to see that all the way to the finish. And you're right. It's I don't get too excited too often, but I was like, this looks like a fun track to race today. It's got some ego dirt, definitely some holes, and picking lines is going to be a big factor of it. But here comes Pascal now, they're saying.
Yeah, so Pascal Rockenecker. Well, let's see, that's not Pascal. That's not Pascal.
That's a KTM.
Yeah, that's a KTM right there. Sorry about that. We got a spotter out there that I think he's spotting someplace else, and we're seeing other things whenever that's happening. But that's all right. We'll get him. There's Pascal, I believe. There's Pascal. So that's the guy they were talking about coming in.
Yep.
But, man, how about this guy? What do you know about Pascal Rockenecker? I've talked to these other guys about him, but you being more in tune in this level, talk about this. There's Thad Duvall in the pits, by the way, this is just a typical pit stop, in for a fresh pair of goggles and some gas. He's in and he's out. Caleb Russell right behind him.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Pascal, but I have learned a little bit, and working with Alex Teagarden in the Coastal team, seems like Pascal's learning it. He obviously came over, did great in the GNCC last one in Indiana last year, and then I know is set up on these first two in South Carolina and Florida. He said it was a little off, but he can ride for sure, and I know some guys have been watching him in his testing, and he's going to be a threat once he figures it out.
Well, you take a look at conditions at Ironman, the soils and different things like that. Would you liken this Georgia soil to possibly the terrain to the Indiana soils that he won on last year?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got the same sort of texture of deep loam that you have picked good lines, really ruddy, so it's a very technical type of track. He's a tall, strong kid, it looks like. And it's pretty neat to watch him learn this GNCC for sure.
All righty, Mikey Wayne standing by down at BP Fuels Pro Row. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey, Rodney. I'm down here with Maggie Duvall. Hey, great race for Thad so far. Just got out of the pits. He's right in front of Caleb. Talk to me. You guys had some news recently.
We did. We are going to have a baby in October. We're super excited. Kind of ready for that next chapter in life to add. I'd like to have a little racer here coming soon, but we're excited.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. October babies are the best. I was born in October. So what's the name going to be? You guys got a name? I'm thinking Robert Duvall, my favorite Western actor.
Duvall, no. We don't have anything set in stone yet. I think we're still waiting to see if it's girl, boy. We have a couple boys' names, but he's not setting a girl's name till he knows for sure if he's going to have one or not.
Very good. Maggie, thank you, and good luck today. You guys are off to a great start.
I'll tell you, Thad is certainly got a lot of great things to be looking forward to this season. Going to be a dad, and he is a major championship contender. Let's rewind a year ago, about midway through the season. Remember, Thad Duvall had taken over the points lead briefly at GNCC. As we roll into the Monster Mile, I'll tell you, this is going to be a monster battle. Look at this. Caleb Russell, only a handful of bike lengths right behind him. Any mistakes right now, he's going to capitalize on by the 989 of Thad Duvall. But Thad, he hasn't been making a lot of mistakes lately.
Yeah, I think he's just pushing it, and I think he's letting this race come to him. And, he had a kind of a last place start, so it's one of those things you can kind of get some of those days that seem like it'd be nice to pull the whole shot and pull away. But coming from dead last, you sometimes have that luxury of having no pressure at all and just race your own race and try to make sure you can get there. And he got by those guys. First thing I saw, about the 10-mile mark on lap 1, he was in 4th place already. So he passed about 10 guys at least to get to there. So he's rolling today, and this is his type of stuff when it's really technical. I mean, obviously Caleb's great at everything.
I'm impressed, though, how deep they are in the lap traffic. I know we have over 300 riders on the line today. That's a lot of riders in general for the afternoon race out here, but a lot of lappers out there today. I mean, we're seeing it, and they're bunched together a lot. That's what I think is more noticeable than anything.
Yeah, you're right. It's walking the track, and I was just bicycling it and checking it out. And one of the tricks is it's so ruddy and so rough and tree roots, as you can see from this shot here is pretty neat. But there's not a whole lot of separate lines, so you kind of get in a parade sometimes without doing a bonsai move or really having a really smooth straight line instead of. But sometimes you see these types of races that are so technical that by the time you go out or come back at a wrong line, everybody's kind of bunched together in clumps when you come up on them as passing or lapping or trying to race for a position. Gets a lot of sharp elbows are being thrown.
Well, leaders due in any time as we turn our attention near the finish line here in just a couple of moments. There's Pascal, the 117. That is Pascal there.
Yeah, there we go.
He is your leader in the XC2 Pro-Am class again, and he's making his way through the Monster Mile. And like you said, man, his height, he just looks like he's just lumbering through there without much effort at all.
Yeah, those are really technical kind of bumps that are kind of awkward. There's nothing really set like a motocross track.
Yeah, there's no rhythm at all.
No rhythm at all, and these guys are putting some rhythm together and making it look good. And yeah, it's pretty neat to see him. Now it seems like the race is coming into its own, and they're starting to do some doubles and little triples and stuff. It's awesome.
All righty, leaders are in. We got Duval, Russell, Bollinger up to the number 3 spot, and I thought that he had caught those guys. He closed that gap now just under 3 seconds behind Caleb Russell. Jordan Ashburn now is pulled within 8 seconds of Bollinger for the 3rd place position. Let's look at lap times here. 29:49 for Duval, 29:53 for Caleb Russell, Trevor Bollinger, 29:45. Josh Toth in the pits right now. Is this just a normal pit stop? It looks like they're doing something a little extra, at least to the hands right now.
Yeah, I saw Josh out there. He was leading, of course, lap 1 and lap 2. He came around probably in 7th or 8th or something weird happened when I was in one of the grass tracks. So I think he definitely either got something went wrong in a mud hole or a crash or something going on with him. But it looks like he's back up to 3rd. So Pascal and then Kelly and then Josh Toth and then Austin Lee. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's what the running was there a few moments ago as we look at that. Again, right now I'm watching the leaders check in. Duval, Russell, Bollinger, Ashburn, Lane Michael. How about this? 2.5 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn. And that's another thing, 29:45. Trevor Bollinger's turned the fastest lap on this lap so far.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's impressive. It's only 4 seconds faster than Thad Duval, but he is faster. Let's head back down to Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, guys. Down here with Ontic. I got it right. KTM pits here. Josh Toth coming in. We saw you guys kind of bandaging up his hand. What's going on there?
Well, I think he had a get off or something, and he let us know over the lap before that he thinks he broke his hand. So the fingers aren't really working, so hard to pull apart. So we just take a couple fingers together to try to get to the finish, you know.
Salvage some points, sounds like. Well, there you go, guys. There's a report on Josh Toth down here in the pits.
Well, I tell you, that right there, that goes to show you the heart of a champion. Said he thought he might have broke some fingers on his hand or broke something in his hand, and he tells the team, tape me up, boys. I'm going back out. I'm going back out. So he wants to finish this, and like Mikey said, try to salvage what points he can, and you know, that's the ultimate important thing, you know, especially when you're running that number 1 plate. The last thing you want to do is let things get slipping too far out of hand.
Yeah, literally, right?
Yeah.
Broken hand. Yeah, these guys are tough and gals, and it's impressive to see. And, you know, even though it's what I used to do, when I come back and watch and see the eye of the tiger and all these guys and gals, it's cool to see how tough they really are. Because when you're doing it, you don't really think of it that much. You just are such a fierce competitor. You want nothing less than winning.
Yeah.
And you'll never, ever, ever quit unless all your limbs fly off of you, and you'd still probably try to take your teeth and crawl to the finish line.
Exactly. Hence the term, I left it all out on the track, right? You hear people say that a lot. I left it all out on the track, you know, and usually when you see somebody say that, they're usually pretty spent, and they have done exactly that.
Absolutely. I know, talking to Ben Kelly this morning a little, he said, Steve, I was so tired by even Wednesday, and the race, as you know, in Florida was last Sunday. So
wow.
That's how hard these guys are pushing and sore, and they're young and in shape and mentally tough and physically tough. And, you know, I think, you know, everybody asks me, how do you get to become a pro? And unfortunately, part of it's being obviously super tough, super mentally strong, and sticking with it, because it's not if you're going to get hurt. It's there's Josh right there. Yep. It's really just toughing through the whole thing. And by the time they get to this level of racing and riding, they've been through a few injuries, and they really want it still. So it's neat to see them still chugging along and still in 3rd place.
Well, Mikey down in the Yamaha pits right now, going to get, I think, a little bit more word on what's taking place. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey, guys, caught up with Lucas, mechanic down here at Yamaha, regarding Ricky Russell. Got a bit of an update about what happened out there today.
Yeah, we found out that he ran a stick through his radiator, and he lost all of his coolant, and he kept going, and the bike just let go. So just got hot and just couldn't take it anymore.
There you go. Thanks, Lucas. There you go. That is a tough break today for Ricky Russell.
No matter how bulletproof your motor is, doesn't matter how strong it is, whenever it gets overheated like that, there's nothing you can do about it. And I get it, man. I don't know. Ricky may or may not have realized that the steam was coming out of that thing, but at the same time, you know, he's in that position where I just got to keep pushing. I got to win. I want to win. And he may have been in that zone that he didn't even realize he'd lost all that water.
You're right, Rodney. You know, and one of those things, when I was younger, I know some of the guys would tell me, oh, Steve, it's overheating or this or that. And unless you can fix it, you might as well ride it until it blows up or you win the race. You know? Right. So you're going to have to rebuild it either way if it does break. So why quit? And, you know, just run it till it breaks. So that's what these guys are used to. And, you know, it's unfortunate for Ricky. And I know Randy Hawkins and the Yamaha team really put a lot of effort and do a great professional job. So it's a bummer to see him out of the fight because I think he would have had, you know, some solid results today.
Rachenecker, Kelly, Austin, Lee looking at a podium position finish, something he's been looking for on that Honda for all season long, I know. And Jonathan Garrar out of Southwick, Massachusetts, the 969 and 4th. Ryder Lafferty out of Dorothy, New Jersey. Now, is that the nephew of Mike Lafferty? I believe it is.
Yep,
Mike Lafferty won the inaugural race here at Aonia Pass and the General GNCC back in 2003, if you didn't know it. So kind of a legacy out there racing right now.
Absolutely, yeah. It's neat to see. Ryder's had a great race. He was second or third early and still up in there in the top 5, so this is a good one for him.
Looking at 3.5 on television while we look at the XC2250 standings. Nick Davis is 6th on his gas there with Fred Andrews Racing. Evan Smith in 7th. Jonathan Johnson in 8th. Craig DeLong is 9th. And Josh Toth hadn't checked in and still hasn't. But Liam Draper checks in out of New Zealand, part of the Coastal Race team over there. He is now rounding out your top 10. Liam, another foreigner, if you will, making his way here from New Zealand. He came with a lot of accolades, I believe, into this one.
I honestly don't know very much about him. Tell me more about him.
Well, a lot of folks he just basically made a lot of names for himself in New Zealand. He pretty much dominated over there. And, you know, I think U-Haul came, you know, those guys coming from over in that part of the...
Paul Whibley.
Yeah, Whibley. Actually, Whibley over in that area. So, you know, you got guys like that. Whenever you reach the top tier level, there's only one place to go, and that's to the United States, the GNCC, and that's where they were coming from. And obviously, you know, I'm sure Paul had a lot of great things to say about him and kind of laid the red carpet out for him and said, Liam's coming, watch out for him. And I think we do have a lot of good things to see out of him. You know, just because he's in 10th right now, don't count him out. Look at your defending champion right now. He's running 11th. That just goes to show you how deep the talent pool is in this class and how quickly mistakes can turn you around out there.
Sure does, yeah. And, you know, one thing's for sure, nothing's for sure in racing. So it's one of those things that, you know, you can be definitely winning the race and think you have it dialed and excited and spraying the champagne mentally before you get to the finish, and things change with a mile to go or anything can happen. So it's not over till it's over. Keep fighting all the way to the end.
It's not. You know, I hadn't checked in with the XC3 since the end of lap 1. We were getting ready to wrap up lap number 2, and it's been a few minutes since I've been back there, but now that I go back, I'd see there was a big change from lap 1 to lap 2. Chris Vendetti moved up from a 4th place position, if I'm not mistaken, on that first lap up into the lead position. Cody Barnes is now 2nd. Jason Raines is 3rd. Jesse Ansley, who was leading in the beginning of this, has dropped back to the 4th place position. Dustin Simpson in the 5th place. And we're down in the coastal pits right now with Mikey Waynes.
Check.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I thought we were headed down there, but we're just taking a look at what's going on in the coastal pits. They're watching timing and scoring. They're watching RacerTV, and there is Mikey Waynes. Mikey, what's the mood down there right now, brother? I mean,
well, it's good.
They look like they're just chilling.
I'm telling you what, I walked in here, I thought, I need popcorn and a beer. They've got 2 big screens. They've got the live scoring up. They've got RacerTV on the Jumbotron. There's picture-in-picture right there. Take a look at that. What better way to watch the race here today? This is it.
That's it. And I'll tell you, Johnny Gallagher's been watching some good racing. We just picked up on the fact that Chris Vendetti Cody Barnes and Jason Raines battling along with Jesse
Rodney, hold
Hansen.
on 1 second. We got our leader on screen here. We got Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell working their way off the moto track. So talking of battles, they're going on all over this Aonia Pass facility. And that right there is the battle for the overall and the XC1 lead. Those guys are wheel to wheel, absolutely duking it out. Third place back there, you see him coming now. That is, we believe, to be that's Josh Strang there in fourth, but Trevor Bollinger was the rider we saw just ahead of him there in that third place spot. But really heating up out there is that battle for the lead in the XC3, that FMF XC3 class. And you pointed out, here we see Lane Michaels, that is our fifth place rider, working his way into the woods there at the 4 mile marker. So that is your top 5, all within earshot of each other, all on the moto track at the same time. But leading the way in that XC3 class, as you pointed out, Chris Vendetti, the number 941 machine, followed very, very closely by the number 99 of Cody Barnes in second. Third place was Jason Raines on the number 100. Those guys are all wheel to wheel to wheel, just battling their way out. They had just come through VP Fuels Pro Row, and I saw them, and there was another rider lurking back there. Last round's winner, the number 37 of Jesse Ansley in the 4th place spot. Those guys were all real close and not too far out of the thick of it either with Steve, one of your riders, the 309 of Alex Teagarden. So realistically, you got 5 riders that still have a shot at the win in that XC3 Pro Lights or FMF XC3 125 class. I guess Pro Lights is our XC2, but you know, quite a bit of shakeups going on out there. I heard you talking a little bit about getting checked in. You can visibly see Josh Toth is obviously very shaken from whatever it is that's going on with his hand. Here we see, that's not Caleb Russell. But you can see he's visibly shaken and losing a lot of time. He's out there at this point in salvage mode in that XC2 class, trying to salvage any points that he can on the day to keep himself in that championship hunt. It's just not anything you want to be up against, but everybody at some point in their career has to battle that. He's doing it today, trying to get the most points that he can. There we see, I believe that's that's actually Trevor Bollinger's uncle there that's checking things out, and he's getting ready to ride on the pit board there, telling Trevor to try and get him motivated and get him rolling, and there's your leaders right there. Thad Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, and the FMF KTM of Caleb Russell are wheel to wheel. Caleb taking that outside line, landed in there, and look at this. I think that may be Trevor Bollinger right on the rear wheel there. He's made up a little bit of ground.
Well, Bollinger, we made note there that he had been making up ground when they checked through the finish line. He was less than 3 seconds behind him, so virtually right on that rear wheel. And this is a good place for him to be, especially at the halfway point. We're just past the halfway point, Johnny, and generally the last couple of rounds we've seen this. This is where we see Trevor Bollinger start to get maybe fade away, and these guys start to pull away. He's actually reversed it this week, and he's pushing towards them this time rather than losing ground at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that is a change. Obviously, it's a totally different deal for Bollinger. You know, moving up to this XC1 Pro class last year, really, you know, again, we talked about it, kind of not the season maybe we'd expected coming in as the defending champion from that XC2 class. He had a good solid season, a lot of good finishes, but never had that breakthrough ride. We got to see that out of him a little bit the first couple of rounds. He seems to be getting better. And at the last race, you know, he was in that battle for a podium position right up until the end of the event, where now we're seeing him at this point now 1 hour and 40 minutes into this thing. So we're kind of starting to make that turn towards the home stretch, and he's just turning up the fire.
Yeah, and that's good to see. And that kind of brings us back to his old XC2 days. Remember, that's the way he used to do it in the XC2 days. But I guess last year, you know, a good learning year for him in the XC1 class. And even these first 2 rounds, I know he was super disappointed with the way he lost the ground. I mean, he was satisfied that, you know, he's doing better than he had done in the past, but at the same time, he just wants so much more, and he's going for it, and looks like he's going to try to go for it today. And how monumental would it be when you could throw Trevor Bollinger into the mix with Thad Duvall and Trevor and Caleb Russell right now? That would be pretty big stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think what you guys are saying, you've got 5 of the guys within probably 10 seconds of each other. I think it's going to be a battle all the way to the finish.
Well, and Steve, I got to point out, I made a mistake there. We also forgot about Jordan Ashburn. I skipped right over him.
Yeah,
he's in the middle there as well. So it's actually 6 guys you could throw a blanket over. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but that was my mistake. I skipped right over top of it.
No, I was thinking Josh Strang was 5th and right there, but you're right. 6 guys, all within 10, 15 seconds. Lappers, as you know, racing this track yesterday. It's going to be tight. It's going to be technical. It's easy to lock bars. Pascal?
Yeah, Pascal Rocknicker, our leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class, he's charging hard and out front there. But yeah, Steve, you're absolutely right. I mean, very dynamic track. Lappers, I mean, what do you do to try and prepare for all scenarios? Or when it's this tight of racing, the track is shaping up with as many lines. There we see Ben Kelly, the number 530 Trail Jesters KTM rider there in the second place spot. He is hard on the throttle, doing everything he can possibly do to try and reel in Rocknicker, who's been leading the way in this one the last 2 laps after Josh Toth having an early lead, running into some issues we know with his hand, and just has not been able to maintain the pace that these front couple guys are running right now.
Yeah, to add to your comment, Johnny, you know, what can you do? And there's so many lines out here, as you know, and especially on a bike. There's some of the holes or some of the lines through the trees. There'll be, instead of 3 or 4 good lines, there's 10 or 20 good lines, and you have to pick that line when you're walking. And these guys obviously getting to ride their bicycles yesterday and today around it. A lot of them have 2 or 3 laps on this track before the race today. That doesn't look that good down there. But that being said, I try to tell everybody, Austin Lee looks like he's having an issue into
Was
a
that
tree.
him melting down out there?
Yeah, he's got the feathers on his helmet usually, so you can tell.
Yeah, that is Austin Lee, and that does not look good.
Well, he fired back up.
Well,
He crashed, and he looks like he may have broken something in the coolant system on that machine that allowed all that steam to come out. So he's just going to run it, but that may not last long.
That might be it right there. But so when you walk the track or ride it, now you pick not only your main line or your second or third fast line, you pick like your 4th, 5th, and 6th passing line to make sure you can get by these guys. Because lapping, if it takes all of us are a different of 1 second a lap, and we pass 200 riders, it's 200 seconds you're going to be in front of Rodney, and then 200 seconds Rodney's going to be in front of me. So and really important on the passing and the lapping. Most people don't consider that, but it's a big deal.
Sense of urgency right now going on for Austin, man. This is the ride that he's been looking for. What a heartbreaker for him right now. You can tell.
The machine just stalled, and he had to bump start it again. I don't anticipate we'll see him having much progress beyond whatever he just did to that bike. It looks like he smoked a tree and broke a radiator. It's definitely not a good thing going for Austin Lee, but we got a good race going right now, and we'll be back here with some more action in just a few moments. But
that's right. Right now we got Thad Duvall, Caleb Russell, Trevor Bollinger, Jordan Ashburn, and Delane Michael leading this one out. GNCC Live will continue after this.
This RacerTV broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV-MC, get ready. And by Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV-MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV-MC. Get ready.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best. The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Washington, Georgia, and the Maxxis General GNCC. It is round 3 of the AMSOIL GNCC Series. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and Steve Hatch here with us. And right now, as we take this look at Pro Row, you can see all the nice, pretty transporters, Johnny. I mean, that seems to be the thing. When I was talking about this earlier, when I first came here in 2003, it was pickup trucks and box vans. Now it's transporters and buses and everything else like that.
Yeah, you know, things have definitely come a long way. I mean, the rigs just keep getting shinier and happier, and you can really see kind of the growth of GNCC through the rigs, just like this one here, the Teely Energy rig that Grant Baylor and Stu Baylor ride out of. This is just a local guy from West Virginia that's done well in business and decided he wanted to support some GNCC racing, so he went out and helped out the brothers Baylor.
Yep, we had a chance to do our own little version of GNCC rigs this weekend with Chris Borch.
Mikey Wayne's down here at the Teely Energy Pits with Grant Baylor. You can find him on the event t-shirt this weekend. What we're here for? Well, you've heard of MTV Cribs. This is GNCC Rigs. Grant, man, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you give us that tour.
All right, let's do it. All right, so here it is, the Teely Energy Racing Rig, and this is the dining area. Whatever, living room. It's where we get ready for the races and stuff, get ready to go and cook up some meals and all that stuff. Got all that stuff, laid out here, so this is it. So yeah, we hang out here sometimes outside in the pits and just hang out, have some drinks, and cut up with some people out here. And here's the work area where we got the bikes and everything during the race. It's still early, so we hadn't quite got set up yet. But here's the race trailer, where we haul the bikes and gear and tools and everything like that. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm Grant Baylor, and you're watching GNCC Rigs.
All right, that was not Chris Borch. Yeah. I guess we did another one, too. I know they were shooting with Chris Borch, and we were talking about that on Friday. They must have got us another one. But that was Grant Baylor, and I really like that Teely Energy rig, to be honest with you. That's some pretty nice stuff. And the Teely guys coming into the GNCC, man, like you said, a local business guy done well. I want to go follow my passion and make some of these guys, some of these stars out there, help them become bigger stars. And that's exactly what's going on, I think, with that team. I mean, you got Grant and Stu both on the same team. Now, they didn't come together as teammates until very late, right before the end of the beginning of the season. But I'll be honest with you right now, I don't think you could have come up with a better idea than to put these two on the same team. I think that they will push each other to all new levels, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Grant really, obviously coming off that shoulder surgery, definitely wasn't ready for the season to start, and so far hasn't been able to make any inroads towards the front, but he's not a guy that's going to quit. He's been at this a long time. We're looking here. We got the leaders coming through at the 10.5, and that is Thad Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, leading the way, and his shadow, Caleb Russell, on the number 1 FMF KTM. I mean, these guys, Rodney, Steve, we've been watching these guys all last season, all this season, and you would almost swear that somebody has just tied a rope between them, and the only difference is who gets which end of it.
Right.
Who's going to lead and who's going to follow, and it's, we'll see them at times just way away from each other at the beginning of a race. And look at this. Trevor Bollinger in the same shot now. He is on the rear wheel of Caleb Russell. So this is now, he said, look, if you guys are going to play the tow game, I'm going to go ahead and throw a rope onto the back fender of Caleb Russell, because I want to come along, and when this break happens, I want to be a part of it. Again, Rodney, you pointed out 1 week ago in Florida, Trevor Rollinger was a victim of that push that they made. He got left in the dust by Baylor, Duval, and also, and here, you see, that looks to be Lane Michael, who has now worked his way up possibly into that 4th place spot, unless we missed one of the other riders. That was definitely Lane Michael, and that is Stu Baylor, so he's worked his way around Baylor, and we're these cameras cutting up a little bit. We apologize to folks watching at home. You're getting to see some on-screen action just as we're seeing it, and we're calling it a little bit paused up, but we think Lane Michael may have taken over that 4th place spot, which he was. Jordan Ashburn was occupying that spot on the number 12 factory Beta. So we'll wait and see. We'll see these guys again coming here soon. But, yeah, things are really shaping up out there, heating up at that. And we see the mechanics getting ready here in VP Fuels Pro Row. These riders are going to be coming in possibly for a splash of gas and definitely probably going to be wanting a drink and some fresh goggles before this one ends here. We've got about an hour of racing left, so we're going to see another round of pit stops starting here soon.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we didn't miss maybe Josh Strang and those guys. It was tough to tell, but yeah, it's cool, and like you said, to see Thad and Caleb. Here they are right in front of us in the thing. We'll check and see. Yeah, 2 seconds back. Bollinger grabbing a drink.
Yep, there's Josh
right there. So, you know, like you said, Johnny. Yeah, and here we go.
There's Ashburn.
It seems like they, no matter where they start.
Oh, now Baylor into 5th. Or 6th, sorry.
Yep. So Lane should be coming too. But like you said, I think they key off of each other to go, ooh, I'm with that, or ooh, I'm with Caleb. They know both of those guys can sprint and come from back, and it's like a rope tied around them for the last year and a half. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it seems crazy that, you know, as far apart as those guys can seem to be at times, you blink your eyes, and next thing you know, they're right on top of each other, pushing each other. And here we see them out on this Aonia Pass motocross facility. Thad Duval leading the way, Caleb Russell, both of those guys stretching out that big triple. Boy, they are not messing around one bit.
No, they're going for it and throwing caution to the wind. That's awesome.
Well, Bollinger made his mistake on the moto track a couple of laps ago that kind of dropped him back a little bit. Still looks like he's still pushing pretty hard, so it didn't slow him down any.
Yeah, he's pushing hard out there, but he's got to get on the gas, because what's going to happen is when those guys decide to pick it up, they're going to light that wick, and you've got to be already in the draft. Because, you know, much like with pedal bike racing, they say if you're 1 pedal stroke behind, next thing you know, you're 1 minute behind. Much the same applies here. If you lose that draft, but in this case, it's a psychological draft, those guys are going to pick the pace up. They're going to push through coming into maybe here in this next lap, I'd say, is when that pace is going to get picked up. And if Bollinger wants to be a part of that, he needs to be right on the rear wheel of whoever it is that's in second place if he wants to go with him.
There's Lane Michael on screen, I believe. And, yeah, you're exactly right. Nobody gives you the thumbs up or I'm going now. They at least never gave it to me. And I thought I was doing good my first few GNCCs, and next thing I knew, they were a minute or two ahead on 1 lap. So you're right. And I think the 2-lap board, if it's a physical, tough race like this one is, and lappers are a big point, they'll kind of just be okay with hanging out in a freight train. But 2 laps to go, it's going to be on right now, I bet, if they can get a distance. Here they are.
There they are again. This is at the Monster Mile. They're pushing their way through. Thad Duval making short work of that little whoop section there as he wheel taps his way through. We're getting this cool drone shot of Caleb Russell as he comes up. You see Thad Duval coming up on a lapper and coming the other direction there. It looks like he's just starting to pull just a few bike lengths away from Caleb Russell. But these guys will pace off each other all the way through this section and this entire 13-mile course. And as you pointed out, Steve, if one picks up the intensity, the other one matches it, it's not that big of a deal. It's when one picks up the intensity and the other one doesn't match, that's when you get those breakaways. You see a rider, they get just a little bit of clear air, and next thing you know, they're stretching it out, trying to turn that couple seconds into a minute.
And once you catch a lapper, like you saw them catching them, it depends where you catch the lapper at. So Thad pulled just a little bit on Caleb, but you had to go back and forth. Sometimes being in the lead helps you to actually be able to push the lappers a little bit and get them out of the way. But second place, then you have the luxury of the lappers knowing that the pros are coming. So it's kind of a cat and mouse deal a little bit.
We just saw a rider there crash going through that ditch. Was that one of our leaders?
I don't think so. I think it was a lapper. But, yeah, good eyes. So it does make a difference where you catch the guys, and then if you can get by them, the faster, it's going to be a big advantage in this race.
Absolutely. Lapper is a huge part of racing here in GNCC, and even more so on a course like this. We've talked so many times already today about just how many lines are out here in the woods of this Washington, Georgia race facility, and it's absolutely staggering when you get out there and take a look and you see this course that started out as just a couple arrows on trees, but much like this section here, it looks like it was just 2 ruts to start, and now it's about 15, and look at this. Thad Duvall coming to the finish. He's on screen, he's on the gas, and he's starting to open up just a little bit of gap over Caleb Russell. But Caleb is not going to let him get away. He's going to push and stay right on that rear wheel. And what this is going to do is we're going to see that accordion effect that Rodney talks about so much take place, where these guys will stretch out and then shrink up. And right now, this 3-rider battle has now become 4 because Josh Strang is right in the thick of it.
And did they get the 2-lap board right there, or no? Probably did.
Rodney, yep, it does look like Ricky Towery has the 2-lap board in his hands. So
he should have. I know we're approaching that 2-hour mark, and where lap times are right around that 30-minute mark. If we went what would it be, 5 laps or whatever, if this being 4, so 6 laps, I guess it would be. That would put us right at that 3-hour mark, just under, probably at about the 2:52 mark, if I'm calculating this correct.
There we see a pit board. Oh.
It's Ben Kelly.
Yeah, we see a pit board for Ben Kelly there as he's working his way through the Monster Mile. Don't know if we can catch Pascal Rocknecker. There he is, going the other way. So look at that. That gap that was once 20-something seconds, now down to just a few. Ben Kelly is on the gas, and he's got the hook into the back of that Coastal Racing Husqvarna of Pascal Rocknecker, and he is reeling him in like a fish on the end of his line.
You know, looking at these lap times, Pascal's time's not real far off of what's going on up front right now. We got a 29.49 and a 29.53 for Duvall and Russell on the last time around. You look at Pascal Rocknecker, he was 29.58. So right within 10 seconds of those guys, and he's nowhere near those guys. So you have to wonder, man, if he started with them, could he run with them? I mean, this guy seems to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to learn the game pretty quick, and it's going to be definitely a learning curve in the GNCC. It always is, to know when to push, when to be smart and use all your energy. But you can't fake speed and you can't fake fitness. So
that's true.
The speed's got to be there, and then the fitness is earned way before you show up at the starting line at these races. You have to have it before you get there. So it's months of preparation. All these riders are working relentlessly.
Yeah, leaders. I'm seeing Josh Tother getting a report is out of the race. We'll try to get an update on that in just a moment, but I'm looking at these lap 4 lap times coming in as they got the 2-lap board there. 29.36 for Duvall, 29.38 for Caleb Russell, 29.40 for Trevor Bollinger. The gap, 2 seconds between Duvall and Russell, about 5 seconds back to Trevor Bollinger. That's a little wider than what it was and what we've seen out there on the course, but man, again, he's hanging steady back there. But what about Josh Strang? Strang is right there in the thick of things, only a second off of them. 10 seconds back, actually 9 seconds back in the number 5 position. He's rolling with a head full of steam right now, Stu Baylor. He is trying to close up gap. He wants a podium position finish. I think not only are we going to be looking at a battle to the finish for the win, but I think it could just basically shape up to just the top 3 overall, period.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 5, 6 riders right now. They're all within striking distance of the podium. I mean, you can even go back to Lane Michael and add one more. I mean, you've got more than a handful of riders that are battling over only 3 podium spots. And realistically, you know, at the very least, at the top 2 of those guys have their sights set on only 1 spot on that podium, and that's the one in the middle. Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell are not leaving here happy with the 2nd place. Not saying that, you know, any of those other guys, Josh Strang, Trevor Bollinger, Jordan Ashburn, everybody wants to win. But Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell came here with one goal in mind, and that was the center of the podium. Nothing else will do for those guys. So they're going to continue to push that intensity and drag these other guys along with them. And who knows, sometimes the catbird seat is the place to be. We see Craig DeLong on screen. Definitely not the ride he was looking for today. I think last when we saw him, he was back outside the top 5 in that XT2 Pro Lights class. Now with Josh Toth departing from the race, it is possible he may have slid his way up into that top 5. We'll have to check and see exactly where he's running. But this is a rider we expect to see on the podium in that XT2 Pro Lights class. So again, not the day this Coastal Racing Husqvarna rider was looking for.
Well, looking back, Rockenecker now up to an 8th place overall position as he has checked in. Now, we were comparing lap times there a few moments ago. They were within 10 seconds of the leaders. A 29.36 for Thad Duvall that last time around. Rockenecker a 30.36. So he kind of slowed down to a minute slower than what those guys were doing. But you got to take into consideration right now. I don't know. Well, he is being kind of pushed right now. He's only 3 seconds ahead of Kelly, so that could be part of it too, trying to defend that #1 position as Ben Kelly has reeled him in somehow or another and made things tighten up there. Russell Bobbitt in the number 10 spot overall. Actually, Grant Baylor is in the number 10 spot overall as we check in now with 4 laps complete. So Grant trying to work his way up into contention for a top 5. It's going to be tough to do at this particular point. Looks like Baylor lost a lot of time, nearly 3 minutes here at some point over the course of this race, back to 10th place. Funny how things have changed from those first couple of laps, how tight they were, to now how some of these gaps are starting to widen so much.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Rodney, looks like Pascal was a 30.36 and Ben Kelly was a 30.17, so almost 19 seconds faster on that lap.
You almost have to wonder, well, lap traffic, there's a lot of lap traffic that Pascal may or may not be accustomed to trying to manipulate, and he could have maybe made a mistake out there. I mean, who knows? Even Pascal, I'm sure, is not above that as perfectly as he seems to be riding right now. So we got a good battle tightening up there. So, I mean, how often do we get to see a 6-man shootout for the win and top 3 overall in the XC1 and a good battle shaping up in the XC2? And at last check, we had a great battle in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class as well with JoJo Bowden and Brewer Cawley. Well, actually, that one has really widened out to quite a bit. Look at that. JoJo is really, yeah, man. I mean, the first lap, those guys were pretty nip and tuck, and now there's almost 2 minutes that separate those guys. JoJo on rails out there.
Yeah, JoJo's having a really great race, and he's a great rider, and it's neat to see. And, yeah, he was way up in the XC3 guys pretty solidly on the end of the first lap. So I know he's riding great, and he's had a few issues. He got second right behind the leader, and then he had a shoulder crash in Florida while doing well there, of course. So I know he wants to put it together and finish this thing and get his first win, which he deserves. So it's going to be neat to see if he can pull it off.
No doubt. Just over the 2-hour mark now, 2 hours and approaching 5 minutes into this battle. This last hour, guys, we pointed out every race, and for those that watch, probably it gets rather redundant, but this is the tail of the tape right here. This tells us who's been doing their homework and who's mentally and physically fit enough to finish in the conditions that they're faced with on a day like today. And right now, everybody's hungry enough to be just exactly that, mentally and physically fit enough, I think. It's just a matter of who's going to get the breaks this time.
You know, Rodney, as we watch here, they're getting ready to come out on the moto track at the 4-mile marker. I was just kind of hard on Craig DeLong, and I'm looking at the results here, the live results. They haven't updated, and I'm looking at the riders that were in front of him. When we last saw him, he was back in 9th. And as we see him now, we see our on-screen, we're looking at waiting for our leaders to come through. We're seeing the leaders of our XC3 FMF 125 class coming by the VP Fuels Pro Row. And was it still Chris Vendetti leading the way? Vendetti leading the way, and
99.
Cody Barnes in second, the number 99. But in that XC2 Pro Lights class, Craig DeLong may have actually worked his way up into a podium position from all the way from 9th last lap. So as I'm kind of hammering him on the live feed here, it's possible he's been dug his heels in and done the work, because I noticed he was ahead of Nick Davis, who had been in 6th. Obviously, we know Austin Lee had some problems and dropped back. And there was a couple other riders that Craig DeLong was ahead of when we last saw him. So I'm not sure, but he may be up to 4th or possibly even 3rd place. But as we're watching, still, our 3rd place rider in XC2 has not checked in, despite the fact that it's been several minutes since we saw our leaders check in there. So the lead duo of Pascal Rockenecker and Ben Kelly have really stretched this one out.
I'll tell you, you're talking about Craig DeLong, you know, that's the kind of results and the kind of riding we expect to see out of Craig DeLong. And I know talking with him after those first couple of rounds, he hasn't been as satisfied with the way he's been able to push like he'd pushed in seasons past and in races past, but we might be getting glimpses of Craig making his way back and returning into the limelight where he belongs.
Yeah, it looks like Steve actually has a little bit of, we got the leaders on screen.
Yeah, it looks like he's up till 4th place, and rolling. He's after it. He wants to get that podium.
And Jonathan Gerard, shout out to him as well, one of the guys from up north, one of the New England Rippers, and he's got himself up into a podium spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Speaking of podium spots, Trevor Bollinger holding on to the final one in that XC1 Pro class. There he is, the 739 JCR Honda of Trevor Bollinger in that third place spot, and it looks like he has shaken Josh Strang, who was his shadow.
Wow.
What happened here? Things have really stretched out. Is it the leaders, Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell, have wicked it up, and they've pulled Trevor Bollinger with them? Oh, that was another rider coming through. I think that may have been Baylor, who's now gotten his way around Strang. Hard to tell there, but wow, things have really opened up. Now look at these gaps that we're looking at.
I was wondering that myself a few moments ago about the Baylor and Strang battle that I saw shaping up on the clock there just a few moments ago. And I know, according to what I was seeing, it looked like it was going to come to that, but I didn't realize that Stu was going to be able to get around and keep moving like that. We'll keep an eye out there to make sure that that is the case. But, you know, again, it's nothing out of the ordinary for Stu Baylor to be able to do something like this. I mean, we did see it out of the tradition there last race whenever he led in the early part of the race. And I know he didn't do it according to game plan, but he's salvaging what he could from the early part of this race. And, you know, looking at it again, I mean, how close those top 10 were after that first lap of racing, and even into the second lap of racing, once everybody got up to speed, it's been a matter of a game of just trying to pick them off and close up every bit of the gap that he can. And Stu Baylor is doing it. And again, the lap traffic, as we pointed out and talked about this, there's a lot of it out there today. Even though it's a 12-mile course, over 300 riders on that track today. That is helping keep this race tight, as well as tight terrain.
Rodney, here's your leaders on screen, the 989. Look at the intensity now. These guys have wicked it up. There is no more messing around. This is not a chess game. This is an outright sprint. They've seen now that they have 2 laps left, and they're doing everything they can possibly try and do to gain an advantage on each other. Caleb Russell just shadowing Duvall, but Duvall is really pushing the pace, which has allowed them now to open up a little bit of a gap here over Trevor Bollinger. Nope, there is Strang. So Strang is still there. Bollinger, I believe, went by. Our camera froze there, so I'm not sure if we missed Bollinger. No, there's Bollinger in fourth, so Strang did not lose the draft. He's actually gotten around Bollinger and taken over that final podium spot.
And it looks like, just a quick time, it looks 17 seconds between Caleb and Josh Strang now.
And there is Jordan Ashford on that Factory Racing Beta. So that is your 5th place rider, still within striking distance of a podium position, but he needs to get going if he wants to keep himself there, because the pace has quickened up front.
Yeah, like you said, Johnny, the guys, first and second, Thad and Caleb, are on the main jet and pinning it to the finish line.
They see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they know that the only thing standing between them and the victory bubbly champagne is 1.5 more laps of pain, and they're saying bring it on. They're reaching those throttles all the way around, getting that whiskey throttle grip. They're going to grab a handful and let those big dogs eat, because they want to get to the front, and what it's doing is it's pulling away from the riders behind them, which those guys in their own right are absolutely putting in some phenomenal rides, but it's just tough to match the intensity that Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell are bringing right now. Josh Strang, really impressive to me. You know, he's been riding well all season and seeming to gain a little bit of momentum. I know last race we saw him riding a lot better, and after the race, I believe he had said he had been sick, and that was kind of what the tail off at the end of the race was. We see Lane Michael on screen here. Lane missing, I believe, both handguards, so he's definitely made some, just the right handguard is gone.
Mikey, go ahead. Mikey Wayne's actually down in the pits right now. Let's check in with what's going on down there. I believe maybe an update on Austin Lee, right, Mikey?
Yeah, guys, I got Troy and Eric down here in the JCR pits. The shock broke in half. Tell me a little bit about what happened. He was in here for a long time.
He'd come off the motocross track, and I guess he hit something wrong, broke the shaft in 2 on the rear shock. So he got it in here to the pits, and we changed it out and put another shock on, and he got back out on the track. We don't know where he's at right now.
Wow, that was all. All right, thanks a lot. That was an awful lot of steam out there, or what we saw anyway. But he was behind that tree. That could have been something else. But a rear shock issue is what the problem was. They changed that shock. They get him back out there, and regardless of the situation, it's a heartbreaker for Austin Lee, because he was right where he needed and wanted to be, I think, to keep mentally in the game where he wants to be.
Yeah, that's such a bummer for Austin Lee. He's riding so good this year, and finally it looked like he was going to put it all together to get in the fight for a podium.
All right, we had some communication a few moments ago. I believe that we may have been told that Josh Toth was out of this one, we thought. Actually, he is not. Josh may have went off the track, but I think he went back to where he was supposed to and got back online if that was the case. But he has checked in. He is all the way back in a 12th place position right now in the XC2 class, and he is completely out of the running as far as an overall top 20 is concerned. But, man, what a heartbreaker right there for him as he continues to try to make things happen. Speaking of making things happen, how about the vet in that XC3 FMF 125 class? Steve Hatch, we've got Jason Raines out front of this one now.
Yeah, pretty neat. He just he was about 3rd or 4th, I believe, and now it looks like he's wicked it up, and he's in the lead. So, you know, good battle with those guys, and fun to see the older dogs can still ride and pick good lines for sure.
Chris Venditti running in the number 2 spot now, about 15.4 seconds back. Cody Barnes is in 3rd. 4th place is Jesse Ansley, and 5th place, Alex Teagarden. He's a minute and 2 seconds back. Actually, Ansley's a minute and 2 seconds back, and then Teagarden's a minute and 2 seconds back. And I'm going to say, on behalf of both those guys, that's a little out of the ordinary, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, it's both of those guys, obviously Alex winning in South Carolina and then Jesse winning in Florida. Both are on a mission. Both are pinning it and riding really well already this season. Jason obviously has been around this game a long time, so it doesn't surprise me he'd be in there with a technical picking good lines type of race like this is. And, you know, Jacob Rowland's in 7th with the Grizzly Peak Racing Yamaha. One of those things that he basically got 3rd at the last race, so only his 4th GNCC. So there's a lot of good talent in that XC3 class.
A lot of good talent, and, you know, Jesse Ainsley, one of those guys that made his way through the ranks. So we see some of these, Tristan Landrum, Devin Welch, Ryan Slopko, Colin Keegan. These are all products of GNCC's youth racing, and we kick off every Sunday with the youth racing, and we did it once again here this weekend. It was a great race this morning. I mean, we had a lot of good battles, some good lead changes and things like that. Peyton Whipke was able to pull off his 3rd in a row whenever it was all said and done, though.
Peyton Whipke, 3 for 3 to start the year.
Yeah, it feels good. Just trying to get a nice little points lead going into the 3-week break, and we'll heal up and go from there.
With the 2 weeks off, man, that give you some time to recoup, get this thing going again for a 4th win?
I sure hope so. Got to go home, heal my hands up and stuff, get a little bit more time on the bike, get the engine rebuilt again, and get some suspension dialed in, and I think we should be set.
There we go, your winner today, Peyton Whipke, making it 3 in a row to start the 2018 season.
Well, there you go. And before you know it, we'll be talking about Peyton Whipke possibly in this XC3 class, the XC2 and XC1 classes. It doesn't take long.
No, you're right. These kids, I'm always impressed and always enjoy watching the kids race at 8 a.m. and how fast all the kids are. And the ones that I love the most are the 50, or 65 cc, the little tiny ones that have great speed and form already at like 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, those micro races are cool.
Unbelievable. And see the parents and the enjoyment that they all have as a family playing and racing together is fantastic. And it's just an honor and pleasure for myself to work with a lot of the kids, and it's really fun to watch these guys.
Well, there is the micro race from last night. If you check that out, that's the little guys. Look at that, little smiles, little tiny guys out there as they take off on their 50cc machines. They had a track somewhere in the neighborhood of, a mile and a half last night. And, of course, when it was all said and done, we came out with a winner on top, like we always do. Mason
Rayner.
Mason
you
Rayner
took a first-place finish today in the first round of this 2018 season, man. How'd you do it?
I just pushed really, really hard.
You pushed through there really hard, right?
Yes.
Well, good work, man. You going to get some more wins this year?
Yeah.
He believes in himself. That's Mason Rayner with the first overall win of the season.
Mason Rayner, sorry about that. This young man, he's going to be one to watch in this one, as is Mason Atherton in the XC2 class as well. But this is another fun time for me, man. And I have as much fun on the starting line with those micro guys as I do watching them ride. It's just the camaraderie and the atmosphere of it down there before the race gets underway with those kids. It's a lot of fun.
I think the best thing about the micro races is the podium interviews afterwards, their goggles are actually larger than the heads that they're on.
That is always cute, and some of the stories that come out of there is pretty impressive too. Let's take a look. Got these guys out in the woods right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other classes while we look at the top 10 leaderboard there. Duvall, Russell, Bollinger, Strang, Stu Baylor, Jordan Ashburn, Lane Michael, your XC2 leader Pascal Rochenecker in the 8th place position. Ben Kelly second in that class is 9th overall, and Grant Baylor rounds out your top 10 there from the XC1 Pro class. But looking into some of these other amateur classes, JoJo Bowden still out front, and Bowden out front in this one out of Lockport, New York. We got, it's Bowden, isn't it?
Yeah, Bowden. We see our leaders on screen here. Thad Duvall, again, the intensity continues to ratchet up. Caleb Russell, you can see having a dab of foot. When you start to see these guys getting that whiskey that they're having a dab of foot in a corner, you know that it has picked up the pace, and it looks like, again, unless, I think we had 17 seconds the last time, and there is, now it's Bollinger in the third place spot again.
Oh, nice.
So Stray, he takes a look over his shoulder, and there is Stu Baylor. Whoa. So now, I believe that is Josh Strang just off of Baylor's rear wheel right there. It is. Man. So Strang from 3rd to 5th, Bollinger from 4th to 3rd, and Baylor from 5th to 4th. These guys are just leapfrogging over each other like some kind of a childhood game out here.
Man, and I thought that yesterday's intensity coming down to the finish was going to be unable to match with the ATVs yesterday. But this is not the case. Look at it.
Jordan Ashburn is on the hammer, and he's actually closed up the gap in the 6th place spot. So these guys all want a shot at the podium. Rodney, you got the right idea. Folks, we need to stand up for this one. You can't be sitting down. If you're sitting at home, get out of your chair, do some stretching, maybe some jumping jacks, get that heart rate up, and get things elevated. We're going racing, folks. The white flag's about to come out, and this one is far from decided.
Far, far from decided as we watch. There is, I thought that was one of our FMF XC. It is an FMX.
That's actually David Quillen right there. He's actually Thad Duvall's old mechanic DQ
Oh, yes, that's right.
So he's out there checking out that FMF XC3 class.
Well, you remember when we were talking, Jason Wygant was with us last week when we were in Florida, and he was talking about the heart rate monitor and stuff that Caleb Russell sends the results to. I actually got a chance to see some of those results over this past week myself on Tuesday at the ATV Supercross. Jason and I were looking at that, comparing some of the things, but it's really neat to kind of think about what his heart rate is going to do and how much under control he seems to have it. And actually, we had a chance to catch up with Caleb and talk a little bit more about how conditioned he is.
Yeah, so I posted my heart rate data last year. I haven't made my stuff from this year's Florida race public, but yeah, it's definitely changed, and for the better. It's lower and more controlled, and where before it would get kind of get to 178, 180, and I'd be there the whole race. And I've been working hard with Charlie this year, and we feel like we're more prepared, and it definitely showed because my data from Florida was I controlled the race pretty good, even though I wasn't in the lead. I wasn't pushing myself, and I wasn't too worried about it. And then as soon as we caught Stu around the hour and a half, hour 45-minute mark, we made that next push. You see my heart rate jump up, and then it levels off to about 180 and stays there for the last 2.5 laps. And it was really nice to be able to keep my heart rate down at the beginning of the race and kind of manage myself and manage my body. And then when it really counted and it was all on the line, I was able to go with a little extra.
Pretty interesting stuff. I bet Caleb's heart rate is right now probably kind of high, but he's trying to maintain it as these two run wheel to wheel.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Rodney, to add to Caleb's point, and I know Charlie Mullins is doing a great job training with Caleb. And one of the things that's interesting as you become more fit, your heart rate goes down, and then secondly, as you get older, your heart rate comes down also to a certain degree. So what's happening is your body's becoming more efficient, and it allows it to run.
Well, that explains why Johnny Gallagher is getting so fast.
He's going to be, by the time he's 40, he's going to be a rocket missile.
Well, I'll go ahead and throw a little fuel for the fire on the folks watching at home. The training in this, and Steve, obviously you know far more about this than I do, but the level of training, not taking anything away from what anyone was doing back in the day, and I know at the time you and Rodney were worlds heads and tails above everybody else, and as with anything, as with the technology and the bikes, the technology, everyone's nutrition, everyone's fitness, but it's not just the simple, back in the day there was a lot of guys that felt just the more you do was all it takes. And I can tell you, I'm pretty close with Caleb, and he's kind of given me a little bit. I don't want to get him in too much trouble, but kind of passed along to me some of the stuff to do to really get your heart rate down, and it's kind of counterintuitive of what you think it would be, and that's all I'll say. But it doesn't necessarily have to do with working harder. Sometimes it's working smarter. It's knowing your body. It's knowing how to tailor your training to actually affect your heart rate. It's not about how many miles can I put in, how fast can I run, how much weights can I lift, which is kind of the school of thought it's always been, where now it's become a science. There's so many factors, and there's formulas, and there's calculations, and it's super calculated. So when Caleb Russell has that smirk on his face, and he's taken over the lead.
Wow.
Caleb Russell into VP Fuels Pro Row has taken over the lead from Thad Duvall, and these guys are really ratcheting the pace up now, and we can see them starting to stretch out over our third place rider, Bollinger. But as we wait for Bollinger and we see what that gap is, I guess that's the biggest thing as I could say is there is Bollinger. It looks like he's going to grab a bottle of water from his mechanic, Eric Seratin, and he caught him on the run. That was, speaking of training, I believe Eric Seratin is even training because he was able to sprint next to Trevor Bollinger and hand that bottle off. There is Stu Baylor in that fourth place spot, and now within eye shot of Trevor Bollinger for that final podium position.
Yeah, you're right, Johnny. It's interesting of all the technology, all the heart rate monitors, all the GPS, everything you can train with, and I know that you're training this winter and different things all the time. It's always progressing, so it's interesting to know. And one of the things, and not to get anybody in trouble, but just with my riders, change it around a little bit and spiking the heart rate and different things where you do intervals where it will actually max your heart rate, teaches you how to recover faster and different tricks that you have to learn, but also learning to read your heart rate in the morning. As soon as you get out of bed, you have a high heart rate, you're overtraining. So a lot of these factors that we're learning more and more since even back in the day when I was racing.
I think the biggest key to it, and Charlie Mullins, I think, introduced me to it a few years ago and never thought, recovery. How quickly recover. You mentioned that there was still some lag. We talked about lag and stuff on Wednesday with those boys. Charlie had somehow now figured out not to be tired the next day. No matter how hard he pushed himself on Sunday, Monday, he was fresh and ready to go again. And that was what always impressed me the most, I think.
Yeah, just like Steve was saying, I mean, that knowing your data is huge. And it's almost become like a science. And we see Caleb Russell on screen. He's pushing hard as he's charging into the Monster Mile. You're going to start seeing those green arrows signifying that they are in that Monster Energy Mile, sponsored by Monster Energy. Those guys, look at all those Monster banners. And I'll tell you what, the Monster right now is Caleb Russell, but he's got another Monster behind him. These guys, it's like a clash of the Titans. No matter what they do, no matter how fast they go, one can't shake the other. And I think we're going to see this one come right down to the final corners, just like it seems happens every time these two hook up.
Well, next time we come around, we'll be taking a white flag. We're only about 2 minutes or so from the finish line as these two continue to push each other. The question is now, what about Bollinger? We saw him start to trail back just a little bit. Actually, we saw that Josh Strang had gotten around him. So where is Josh Strang in relation to this battle that's going on up front?
Well, when we last saw him, Bollinger was back around Strang, and Strang was all the way back to fifth.
They keep switching.
Yeah, it was Baylor that was up to the fourth place spot. So it was Bollinger, Baylor, then Strang again, all within eye shot of each other. So, Rodney, I can't fault you for that one because this one's been changing so much and so often that it's hard for anybody to keep track of. We need like some kind of a board with the moving figurines on it. There we see, I believe that was Josh Strang in the Monster Mile. So as we're looking the other way, now wait a minute. Okay, I thought that was Trevor Bollinger. I was going to say, if they switched it up again, I might need to sit back down. We don't even know what's going on. We got so much stuff changing hands here. Positions are swapping all over the board. Riders are swapping all over the track. And one thing that's not swapping is the fact that you need to not swap the channel. You need to stay tuned in right here and watch because this one's going to come right down to the wire.
I tell you, you got another, let's call it another 32 minutes to keep an eye on what's taking place. I'm going to say watch. If you watched all the way through yesterday's ATV show, the best part of the show was the last 3 minutes as those guys were battling to the finish there for that win. And I'm hoping we get to see that kind. There it is. Caleb Russell making his way into the finish. He has a little bit more of a gap opening up than we see so far today. I mean, to talk about gaps, that's a huge gap compared to what we've seen all day.
Our gaps are no longer measured in seconds on this race, Rodney. They're measured in inches. He's pulled out about 4 inches on Thad Duvall, the biggest gap we've seen of the day. You could almost drive a slip of paper between the two of them.
That's saying something about the intensity that these guys have been riding at. And, you know, talking about physical conditioning, and we're talking about and patting Caleb on the back for his physical conditioning. What about Thad? He's got to be able to hang with Caleb right now. You've got to say he's got some peak stuff going on too right now.
Absolutely. All these guys are pushing their heart rates right now. They're pushing their conditioning. We see Austin Lee back out on track. There is Josh Strang, but we've already seen Trevor Bollinger and Stu Baylor. They have checked in. If we refresh there, we saw them going through the finish line, and those two are separated by maybe 2 seconds. What do we got there, Rodney?
2.090 between Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall. We have 25 seconds back now to Trevor Bollinger. Stu Baylor is now 3.2 seconds behind Trevor Bollinger.
Yep, so those guys are right there together, almost wheel to wheel, and they are pushing each other. That 25-second gap, which I think, Steve, you had calculated earlier in the lap, it was 17, so it stretched out another 8 seconds. So that pace up front is just slightly faster than what that pace is over that third-place battle.
28.42 that last time around. These guys are really picking the pace up.
Well, I'll tell you what, if nothing happens to either one of those two, I think we're going to see the fastest lap of the race on the last lap.
That'd be interesting.
I agree.
And there is Caleb Russell in the FMF PowerPoint. Wow, look at that, the leg flying off. Thad Duvall playing it a little bit more safe there and saying, man, I don't really want to send that kicker like you did, so I'm going to try and find the smooth line.
That right there looked like a motocross track, as rough as that was. That looked like 30-minute motos have been taking place out there without, man, that goes to show you how intense everybody's racing in out there to put those kind of ruts and those kind of lines and that kind of condition on this race course.
There is Ben Kelly, one of our XC2 leaders. Don't know if he is the leader or if he's in second. We know we have the 117 machine of Pascal Rucknicker up there as well. But he is, right now, Ben Kelly all by himself. We do not know if what we're looking at is your leader or if he is in second. So we'll wait and we'll watch, and we got less than a mile to go until we see these guys come through the finish. So we'll watch, and did anybody catch to see if Rocknicker has been on screen? Has he pulled away? There is Rocknicker coming the other way. Ben Kelly has stretched out the lead. That is Rocknicker there, so Ben Kelly probably a 30-plus second lead, if not more. So Kelly just a machine here late in this one. Rocknicker seeming to be almost untouchable early, and now looks, I tell you what, Steve, read the body language. You tell me.
Yep, this is where it's like, holy cow, these 3-hour races are really 3-hour races. And, you know, Ben Kelly winning his first race last weekend in Florida. He's definitely a strong kid, and we've mentioned it before. And it's neat to see, and it doesn't surprise me. He's pinning it because the last couple laps are his strength, and Pascal will get it, but you don't just come up with that extra strength with 2 laps to go. And he can't simulate a 3-hour race.
Absolutely. I tell you what, there's no simulation for what Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall are seeing. We just saw them on screen. They're getting an update from the track crew that they have passed the 1.5 and they're headed out towards the 2. Still wheel to wheel. The gap has not changed. Still right around that 2-point-some-odd seconds. But look at this. Now this is the battle over third. Trevor Bollinger in the mulch pile. Stu Baylor taking another line. We might see an attempt at a pass right here, but Baylor actually having to kind of wiggle his way through some trees there and almost going down. These guys are really pushing the pace to try and get up there for that third place spot. And who knows, the way they're pushing each other, one slightest mistake from either of your 2 leaders could see those guys pushed up into a second or even a first place position. Josh Strang opting to go out around the FMF PowerPoint. It is arrowed. That is an option. We found that out yesterday after some questions. You have the option to either go through or around. Through is a little bit faster, but around is much smoother and saves energy. At this point, you have to wonder, Strang seemed to have that pace to possibly run up and catch the leaders. Now it seems he's fading back a little bit from Bollinger and Baylor. Don't know if that's an issue where he came across something, you know, where he's just kind of fighting the bike, or if just the fatigue of the race is finally starting to catch up with him.
Yeah, Johnny, and I know in Florida, like you said, he was rolling down there last weekend, and then he was sick pretty substantially. So even if you do get healthy, as you and I both know, 1 week in between, this is the shortest week between 2 big GNCCs. They'll get basically 3 weeks until the next race, circle the wagon, see what they're doing good and bad, and come back here every single racer out here and be able to make an educated decision what they need to work on. So
you know, we always go back, and even with my riders, I tell them, hey, what's the 3 things we did really well, and what are the 3 things we can improve? So it's a constant. You never arrive, even if you're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can never settle even if you're up front, because if you're not progressing forward, then those behind you are closing the gap. And I tell you what, right now, it's going to be interesting to watch and see if that battle over the 3rd place position. Here we see our XC2 Pro Lights leader, Ben Kelly, now working his way into the FMF PowerPoint. Up on the pegs, Euro style, making it look easy. I know, Steve, you've worked with Ben for years, helped get him to where he's at today. And, you know, it's got to be cool, obviously, to see the progress of all the fruits of your labor paying off. Obviously, you know, he's riding well, getting the win, his first win just 1 week ago in Florida, building off that momentum and just really kind of commanding the respect and attention late in this race. Like you said, that's where he makes his money. He closes out these races strong and hard, and right now he's stretching it out on one of the world's best, not just America's best, Pascal Rocknecker, proven to be a top world enduro contender, winning races from what is their E2 class, actually winning overall races from the E2 class, something that is completely unheard of in the longer format races. But he's finding out right now that the Steve Hatch program, and obviously everything that Ben Kelly has done to this point and doing now, is really paying off. And maybe those guys will be giving you a call and saying, hey, can you put in the groundwork with us like you did with Ben Kelly a few years ago?
Well, it's interesting. You know, Josh Toth and Ben Kelly are buddies from the New England area with J-Day and Netra and all of them up there. And it's neat to see them really come off the radar, and for 2 years they've been pinning it themselves. And I got with them last year and honored to work with them and Trail Jesters and all them, and they got picked up by the factory KTM and Trail Jesters. So it's been great, and obviously Charlie Mullins has been beating them into shape, working with them some on the mental stuff this year. So, you know, it's always a team of effort, but it's fantastic to see these guys really get their goals and dreams, and it's an honor to be a little part of it and know how excited it is to get your first win.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I got to see firsthand all the work that those guys were doing over the course of the winter, but I know it's, you know, it's the base, it's the mentality of the rider, and obviously, you know, you've been a big part of Ben's program for the last couple of years, or last year at least, and, you know, I'm sure those are continued lessons and continued friendships that you carry through, and even though he's not maybe in your stable of guys anymore, I'm sure it's still cool to see him having that success and knowing that, like you said, in some small way or big way, you were a part of it.
Absolutely. Now, we're still, you know, talking together and, you know, picking out lines this morning and different things and giving him a hard time. So it's neat to see he's such a good kid and good family and pinning it and super strong. You know, he's always been strong, but I think he's putting it all together and really figuring out this race strategy of the GNCCs. And, you know, he and Josh have, you know, battled since they're little, as well as at those series. So I think they get together usually. You know, we saw at the first 2 races, them battling tooth and nail, and then they even lived together in North Carolina. So it's one of those things you push yourself so hard. You mentioned before, same thing with Rodney Smith and I, you know, racing together and training together and being on Suzuki together. We pushed each other, and we did not want to lose to each other. So it's one of those things that you battle like brothers all the way tooth and nail. But if I didn't win, I want him to win, or vice versa. And I think same with Josh and Ben. They're great kids, and they're just at the high and pushing it really hard, and it's exciting to see for sure.
Absolutely cool to see, and those guys have been putting on a good show all year. Unfortunately, Josh Toth having a little bit of an injury today, or something going on with his hand where he's fallen back outside the top 10 in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Speaking of top 10, though, Grant Baylor still hanging on in the top 10 overall, and actually on screen, left side upper screen is Thad Duvall in second, and right ahead of him, the #1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. These guys are on the moto track. And I'll tell you what, for a minute here, I'm just going to stop talking and let you guys watch these guys ride a moto track, because it's something to see. Just wish we had the sound. If we could just hear those things singing. Because what you see right now are 2 GNCC guys pushing a national level moto track at the same pace that you could see some of the top moto riders in the world right out there. But oh, hey, by the way, we got another trick. Back into the woods. They can do it all, folks, and they're doing it right here on RacerTV Live for you. And they're going to take this one right down to the checkered flag, which is coming up. That's about the 3.5-mile marker there. When they dip into the woods, they're at the 4 soon after. So we got about 9 miles of racing left to settle this one.
19 minutes.
What do you think, guys? All right, let's make those predictions. How's it going to pan out? Who's going to win this thing? And how close is it going to be at the finish? We're going to start with you, Rodney, put you on the spot.
Well, I'm going to go say this right here. I'm going to say Caleb Russell.
The reason that I say Caleb is because he is right in the position that he wants to be in. Go ahead.
We see Trevor Bollinger in third and Stu Baylor in fourth. These guys are far from done battling over that final podium spot. These guys came here, again, both of them wanting to be on the podium. Baylor having been on the podium the last 2 races. And we're getting an update from the track crew that's saying Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell are wheel to wheel. Nothing to do there. That's been that way all day. But again, that battle for the third place spot is wheel to wheel as well between Bollinger and Baylor. We see Strang there in the background. That's not Strang there, but he is the next bike coming in that 5th place spot. It looks like he has lost some more ground, and possibly Ashburn may have closed up, looking to potentially take away that 5th place spot. But so many things going on, so many battles right now that it's hard to keep them all straight. We got battles in the XC1 class, we got battles in the XC3 class, and these battles in the XC1 class stretch all the way back to at least the 6th place position.
And that's the deepest battle we've seen in a while in XC1 GNCC two-wheel action, that's for sure. And it's been that way for over 2.5 hours now. And as we said, we are now less than 18 minutes away before we'll see a checker flag. You asked me the question. I was going to go and try to explain myself. Caleb Russell's in a position where he wants to be. I want to pick him, but at the same time, Thad Duvall in a position that he wants to be.
There's our leaders on screen, Rodney. This timing is just not working out. We got too many battles. Look at this. Thad Duvall railing around the outside. He gets a drive on Russell. And this one, folks, may unfold right in front of us.
Well, before this happens, I just want to say I think that Thad's already been out front. He knows how to pass Caleb, and he's passed him on numerous occasions in the past. I think he's right where he wants to be. So if Thad can pull off that last little slip there, I think that Thad might be able to actually pull out a win. So I'm going to go and say that my money is on Thad right now.
All right.
I'm not saying that's how I want it to go. I'm just saying.
Hey, we're unbiased here. This
right,
is just how
I am
we think it's going to go.
Yeah,
we're not putting our own feelings into it. This is just what we think may happen. Steve, we got a couple seconds here, but I think we're going to see Trevor Bollinger and Stu Baylor coming by. Once we get to see those guys, I want you to weigh in and see if we can get your take on what you think is going to happen. Rodney, absolutely good point. And here we see Baylor has now taken over the 3rd place spot.
No surprise.
But look at this, right on, it's almost a mirror image of what we saw just a few moments ago with these guys just slamming it into these ruts and absolutely pinned. Now remember, just a few years ago, Bollinger actually rode for Stu Baylor as a part of the team that Stu Baylor was starting for a short period of time there. Midway through the season, he made a switch, but those guys still good friends, still ride together, and now they're out there battling over a podium position in the overall.
Yeah, to answer your question, Johnny, I think one of the things is Caleb loves to be in the lead, and he can throw some dust there. Again, we're unbiased who wins, but I think he's going to pull it off. He seems to have a big race etiquette, and knowing when he's in the lead, he can control it and go fast where he needs to and slow where he needs to. So I think it's going to be him at the finish. But again, if we're rooting for people, we'd love to see the battle all the way to the last turn.
Yeah,
and
I don't care who wins.
All the way to the finish. How about you?
Man, that's a tough one. This one is, here we see our XC2 leader on screen, Ben Kelly. He stretched this out to, we'll have to see if we can get a gap. 2:39.03, he left the moto track there. And we'll look back, we'll be watching for that Coastal Racing Husqvarna, the 117 of Pascal Rocknicker. And we love saying his names, folks, just because it's fun. It's a great name, and it gives us a chance to clear our throat, get that phlegm out that's building up. Rocknicker. And he is not on the moto track yet. It does not appear so. That lead has definitely gotten bigger. It was about maybe 20 seconds when we saw him at the Monster Mile around the 12-mile marker. There he is, folks. He's still got to run the entire moto track. So it was 39.03. And, wow, that's going to be up. I don't know, Steve, what do you think? We're going to be pushing a minute almost.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot.
We're at 40 seconds right now, and he's still got a couple more turns before he leaves that moto track. So we're at, it was actually 47 seconds when they checked in at scoring. And now they are, let's see, we're at 54. It's going to be a minute. We're at 59. It was 03 when he left the moto track. Exactly 1 minute. So he's dropped another 13 seconds in the first 3.5 miles of this track here on the final lap as the white flag is out. To go back to that battle for the lead and what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a battle all the way down to the end. How it's going to come out, I honestly don't know.
I know, right?
It's too close to call, because really what it comes down to at that point is you can't know, does Thad have a little line tucked away somewhere that he's been saving? But then again, you look at it, Thad was leading at about he was leading in the Monster Mile at the 12-mile marker. And when they came by here at VP Fuels Pro Row,
good point,
it had changed up, and Caleb Russell had taken the lead. So what transpired in there? Where did Caleb make the pass? Was it just on sheer speed? Did he have a line? There's so many unknowns. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to say that they're going to battle into the final turn. They're both going to bump. They're going to fall down, and whoever picks their bike up first is going to win it. And that is going to be – so that's what I have to say about it.
I kind of feel like that too, but you put me on the spot, so I had to go out there on a limb and justify what I was saying there.
There is our XC2 leader, Ben Kelly. All right, I'm not going to dodge the question anymore. I think Caleb Russell's going to hold on to this one. I think it's going to be a battle down to the wire, and by no means will I be surprised to see Thad Duvall come out on top.
Nope,
but at the same time, I just think that the way we're watching right now, Caleb Russell, as you pointed out, Steve, loves to control the race, and I think one thing that's interesting, and I wanted to touch on, when Caleb Russell was talking about that heart rate stuff, he said he really felt he controlled that race in Florida, even when he wasn't leading. So that's an interesting take on things. When you're feeling that you're in the position where you can kind of survey the situation, you can survey exactly what's going on around you, and you're controlling it, even though you're not the one leading it, that is a mental state of mind.
But when you're under this much pressure, you're not so much in control. I mean, yeah, being out front, you feel in control, but right now with a guy a second and a half behind you, there's not a lot of control there.
And one thing that is for certain, both of these guys right now are going to be gassed when they come in, because this is going to come out to be near or right at a 3-hour race. So this one is not going short. It's absolutely going to go the full distance. There's Rocknicker, again, about a minute back of Ben Kelly in that second place spot in XC2. And did we get an update to see who was third now? Has Craig DeLong taken over that third place spot in XC2? I know we had Johnny Gerard again. We talked about him a little bit, riding for that MCS Suzuki team.
I got Craig DeLong. Behind, actually, it goes Benjamin Kelly, Pascal Rocknecker, and Craig DeLong, 1, 2, and 3. Nick Davis in 4th, and Evan Smith in 5th, according to the timing scoring I'm looking at.
Well, hey, definitely shout out to Nick Davis in 4th there. Been a little bit of a struggle to start the season for him and that Fred Andrews Racing Gas team. So definitely a bright light on the day for those guys in 4th. And who knows, don't know how far was he behind DeLong there for that third place spot.
Looking at only 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Yeah, so look at that. Nick Davis, we haven't really talked about him much today, but he is in striking of a podium position. That would be a huge breakthrough ride for him and that gas machine. Guys, have we ever seen a gas on a GNCC podium?
I was trying to think that the other day. I couldn't remember if we had or not.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is Josh Toth. I saw the number 1 KTM and I got all excited. Thought we had Caleb Russell already at the 11-mile mark.
Yeah, I was trying to think that. I don't recall personally seeing a gas on the podium, and I don't think I've ever in my tenure seen a gas taken overall.
You know, it's interesting. I'm riding now with gas a lot, and their bikes are really good. Their trials bikes have always been good. Their dirt bikes are good, but it's neat to see Nick Davis and the Fred Andrews Racing team with the gas. They have great components on them with suspension, the brakes, to you name it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him on the podium once he gets there, coming off an injury for Nick Davis, but being on a good bike, and Fred Andrews and the guys know how to race and win championships. There's going to be a lot of build-up this year for both Andrew DeLong and Nick Davis with the gas team.
You know, and I know, Steve, you've worked with Nick for a number of years, and Nick's a rider that he's very much, I guess he kind of flows like Mercury, I guess, if you will. When he goes to the top, it's all the way to the top. And when he goes to the bottom, it's not good. It's been a rough start to the season for him, a rough ending to last season. You know, it's been a rough couple of seasons for him. So to see him on a new team, surrounded by some old, familiar faces, you know, it's definitely cool to see him potentially, whether he ends up on the podium today or not, if he can keep it in that top 5, that's a good, solid platform to build from. And sometimes that's all you need is just firm footing to start grinding. And it looks like in that 4th place spot, only 3 seconds out of 3rd. Can't say enough again about that Fred Andrews Racing team there with Gas and Nick Davis. Andrew DeLong had a solid ride at the first round. I believe he was top 10 in that XC1 Pro class. So many things happening out there right now that it's hard to keep track of them all. But one thing that, again, we wanted to make sure we made mention of is Nick Davis, that Fred Andrews Racing Gas, doing well up there, potentially battling for that podium place position in the XC2 Pro Lights class.
Well, 14 minutes, actually less than that now, just under 14 minutes before we expect to see our leaders checking in the XC2 250 Pro class, that Kelly, Rocknecker, Craig DeLong battle. And now Thad is out front is what we're getting word of, and we're 9 minutes away from checkers on this one.
Rodney might
there it is, folks, on screen. Thad Duvall in the lead, Caleb Russell on his rear wheel, and I tell you what, every time we can just repeat the same things we keep saying. They're ratcheting up, they're going faster, they're charging hard, their feet are off. Folks, this is a battle.
Oh,
This is a
switching
battle.
up.
This is awesome.
It is, and now here's the thing. We do have that out front. My analogies and theories may be coming to pass, but we got to take into account, too, we haven't seen them come in. Last time we saw this scenario, when they came back around into the pro pits, Caleb had gotten around back in the lead. So these next few miles are going to be pretty critical. This is going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Rodney, I wonder, since he already used that move, that might be out. Maybe he's got another one in his back pocket.
I got a question. How good is our drone pilot?
He's good.
Can he just chase these guys the rest of the way so we can just announce it as it's happening? Stu Baylor, hard on the gas in third. Looks like he has opened up. No, he has not. There is Trevor Bollinger in fourth. This one far from decided as well. Folks, there's battles all over the racetrack, and you got two on screen right at the moment. There it is right there. Baylor, the 514 Teely Energy Racing KTM. Bollinger on the JCR Honda, and those guys are wheel to wheel, and they each want to put their machine on the podium and have a chance to thank the people that helped them get there. So neither one of them is going to let up on that throttle one bit.
Yeah, speaking of the drone footage, I want to say thanks to Woody, Ian Howes, who has been our drone operator. I know Caleb did a little bit yesterday, but it's mainly Ian doing all this good stuff and getting all the good shots out there. But I'll tell you what, he is that good. If he had the trees running his way, we could watch this thing from start to finish.
Oh, no, that's why I was asking. I want him to fly it through the trees.
He's not that good.
I want to follow him right through the track.
Well, with no leaves on it, he could probably skim the top of the trees and keep an eye on them. Try that for us, would you, Ian? We want to see this all the way down to the very, very end. Right now, we are 2 hours and 47 minutes past, just a little past that end of this race. 7 minutes is when we anticipate to see these riders at the finish line for the checkers and the win. The last time we saw these guys visually, Thad Duvall had taken over the lead. Caleb Russell was in second. Bollinger and Baylor was still battling back for the number 3 spot. That final podium position finish there, and Josh Strang was about 20 seconds back. Here's Thad Duvall still out front. Nope.
That's actually Josh Strang.
That's Josh Strang. I'm sorry. I saw that Husqvarna. I got a little excited there for a minute.
Me too.
But that's Strang. He is, they say that when they came through at the end of the last lap, it was about 17 seconds. I'm thinking that's maybe closer to 30 now. I could be wrong on that as well, because I am pretty excited. I'm pretty amped as I wait in anticipation for what is going to be taking place here at the finish. Caleb is back in the lead according to reports off the racetrack. It's back and forth. And that's the 10.2, and there it is.
They are. Still wheel to wheel. He might be in the lead, but he sure doesn't have a gap. Although, I don't know, you could definitely slip a piece of paper through there. So we talked about that paper gap. He's opened it back up.
2 mils. There's two mils separating these guys.
Look at the intensity. These guys are charging like they're on a supercross track trying to set a fast lap. This isn't supposed to be the last lap of a GNCC.
Wow, and you're right. This is nearly 3 hours into this race, and look how much energy, look how much aggression these guys are showing out here.
And there you saw Thad Duvall reaching down, reaching for that drink pack. He grabbed he's needing just that little bit of extra energy. Don't know if he's running water, if he's got heat, or what it may be. But these guys are now pushing the pace. Again, 2 hours and 50 minutes into this race. And just a few seconds behind them is another battle over third. Stu Baylor, Trevor Bollinger, both, again, redlined heart rates, redlined machines. So many rev limiters, both man and machine, and this is just coming down to an absolute charge to the finish. It's a free-for-all. There's the Steve Hatch Racing van, made its little cameo on RacerTV there. He parked there just so he could go ahead and get himself some TV time. Don't worry, Steve, we're not going to charge you for that one. Kerry Joe, invoice that.
I couldn't drive as fast as these guys, even if I paralleled them down the road, so that worked out really good. So thank you, whoever shot that. See, I didn't even try to get the free advertising. I'm way out back.
Well, hey, nowhere's out back around here. Our cameras go everywhere. We got a drone now, remember that?
That's true.
Now you need to paint something on the top of it so we can stick it out in the
I didn't do graphics on the top, but I think I like the way you're thinking, Rodney. I might put them on there for the next race.
That's a good idea.
Like Johnny said with this, drone flyers are amazing.
So here we are, closing moments, 5 minutes. Our leaders, we'll probably see them here at the pro pits any minute now. So
we've still got to catch them at the Monster Mile, which is this camera shot that we're going to now. Or no, and that'll be here first. Here they are. Caleb Russell leading, Thad Duvall in second, wheel to wheel.
going down past the semis. Here we go, a drone shot.
Yeah, we got a drone shot.
Now, I got to ask you, do you see a sense of urgency on Thad Duvall right now? Did he not look as calm as he would have on lap number 1 or 2?
I tell you what, both those guys, they're pushing really hard, but they don't look like they're panicking. They honestly look like they're just kind of sizing each other up. You know, Caleb Russell just kind of cruising his pace, waiting for Thad to make his move. Thad waiting for Caleb to make his move. But pretty soon we're going to see all that go out the window. Oh, Thad Duvall with a little mistake.
Yep, Caleb made a little mistake, but Thad made an even bigger one. Here they come up to the big triple, and they're going to send it if these lappers get out of the way. Here we go. Oh, man, right over. Nice. Same as Thad.
Yep.
That is the biggest gap we have officially seen all day.
I think so, yeah.
Lappers are going to be a big deal, so they're almost done. Caleb gets up and over the table pretty clean.
That may have been it right there. That may have been the deciding factor on this race, and we may have witnessed it.
They've got still, what, about a mile and a half? Still have that monster mile that's pretty gnarly, so lappers are going to be a big deal.
This footage is awesome.
This is great. Johnny, this saves a lot of running and mountain biking like we used to see it, huh?
Yep. We used to do this all with radios and update. Now we just watch it on screen.
Yep.
Get a couple of those drones out, we could probably cover the entire course, you know?
Absolutely.
So here we go.
This is the entrance to the Monster Mile that we're looking at here, Rodney, on screen. So we'll see these guys in about 20 seconds.
Coming up the hill and then into the Monster Mile, back and forth 3 times, and back in the woods in a short little distance, back around to the finish.
Lap traffic at the moment doesn't seem to be too congesting through this section. They're coming out one at a time every few seconds, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue for these guys. What's ahead of them right now, we should be seeing these guys poke out about right now. And I'm off. They're off. They're off by 4 seconds.
There they are.
And look at that. That's the deciding factor. Yep. I think the mistake that we saw Thad make on that coming onto the moto track right there, that was what split the difference right there.
Caleb got pretty clean around a few lappers, but, you know, it's never over till it's over. But Caleb looked solid. So does Thad.
Well, through this monster mile in these split lanes, here comes Thad Duvall still trying to close up that gap. And
he did close it up a little bit right there.
Yeah. I don't know whether it was lap traffic or whether a little more aggression shown by Thad Duvall there, but we are starting to see it tighten back up, so this could be pretty intense heading into the final turns.
Look at this. You can't ask for much better racing than this. Coming down to the final mile, he is back now to the rear wheel. Looked like he had about 4 or 5 seconds there. Now it's down to less than 2. So Thad really charging his way through the monster mile there. Now look at this. Here comes the battle for third. And again, we're seeing the same thing. Baylor has stretched it out just a little bit over Bollinger. Maybe Bollinger can do the same thing Duvall did and just grab a handful of whiskey through here and close up to the back wheel of Baylor.
Well, 2 hours, 53 minutes, working on 2:54 as we roll toward the finish line right now. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall in a heated battle, mano a mano, as we head toward those checker flags. The gloves are off, and they are duking it out, my friends. Who's going to come out on top of this one? We will know in just a few moments. As we said, Baylor back in the number 3 spot now, and Bollinger still in 4th place position. But all eyes, all ears are wondering what's going to be taking place with the 1 and the 989 as we'll be seeing them come into view here in just a few minutes. We're about a minute out from the finish line.
And I just hope we've got that drone shot. Here it is, folks. They're out on the moto track. This is the final 2 turns. Caleb Russell leading the way. Rodney, you call this one. I can't do it.
Well, as we look back, Caleb Russell has nothing to worry about. He somehow or another has separated himself from the 989 of Thad Duvall. No mistakes from this point on. And Caleb Russell is going to claim checkers for 3 times in a row here in the 2018 championship season. Caleb Russell wins the Maxxis General GNCC.
What a race.
Wow, and at the tail of the tape, 2.4 seconds. That right there was the biggest gap, and I think basically we just laid off a 2-second gap at the finish line. We say that's the biggest gap we've seen between those two virtually over the last hour, hour and a half. Pretty impressive stuff. We wait now for 3rd place. I believe it's going to be Baylor checking in with Bollinger behind him, but we still got room for change coming up there as well.
We got our cameras following Caleb Russell, and hopefully they're going to get, we see Josh Toth there off to the side. He ended up going a lap down. Don't know how many points he was able to salvage in that XC2 Pro Lights class, if any at all. But these guys are going into the Moose cooldown zone, and we're waiting to see, will it be Stu Baylor or Trevor Bollinger? Who crossed the line first, Rodney?
And that's what we're waiting on to find out. We got him. Stu Baylor checks in at number 3 spot, 52 seconds back. Trevor Bollinger 1 second behind him in the 4th place position. So that's how tight this race was today. That 52-second gap between 2nd and 3rd is no true indication of how tight the race was there as well. We had a 7-man battle virtually all day up until about 2 hours and 40 minutes into this race before these 4 started stretching it out and put on the show that we've seen, that is the Maxxis General GNCC. No one should hang their head after this one. Everybody should be pumped because everyone had a great day today, and unfortunately, only one person can win for these guys out here, but they're all winners in my heart. That is what GNCC Racing is all about. They left it all out there on the track today.
Absolutely. There was, you can tell in their faces that they're all spent and they were all in and everybody wanted to win. And we saw some great racing in all 3 of the classes as well as all the amateur classes. Amazing GNCC racing when it comes down to that close after 3 hours.
We've still got our battles coming in. The XC2 Pro Lights class, we've got that battle over the 3rd place spot. It seems that 1st and 2nd have kind of worked themselves out with Ben Kelly and Pascal Rocknicker. We've got the 3rd place battle potentially between Craig DeLong and Nick Davis that is still panning its way out there. Here we see Jordan Ashburn working his way through the Monster Mile. So keep in mind, if you want to know how intense this race got, those guys sitting at the finish line just a lap ago were only 7 seconds ahead of Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn out at the 12-mile marker now. These guys are getting cooled down. So that's how much faster they picked it up. There is your leader in XC2 Pro Lights, Ben Kelly, leading the way. Looks like he's going to put it on cruise and bring it in. He had a minute lead over Pascal Rocknicker of the Coastal Racing Husqvarna team, the last we saw. And then that torrid battle over the 3rd place spot between Craig DeLong of the Coastal Racing Husky team and Nick Davis of the Fred Andrews Racing Gas team. So those guys each wanting to get a podium for themselves and their teams. We'll see if we can follow that one into the finish. And we've got our XC3 Lights, XC3 FMF class still out there too.
That was a good one as well. We've had a very exciting day. I mean, all these classes. I wish we could watch as intently all the classes because it probably wouldn't be a big surprise to find out what we saw in the pro class. We saw in a lot of different divisions today.
I need a nap.
You got to drive home tonight, Johnny.
No, I'm not going home. I'm going back to Florida, and I still need a nap.
All right, well, take a nap, buddy. You deserve one, especially after the racing that you put forth there yesterday. Good job for you. I told you that earlier, but real proud of you again. Still my hero. Thad Duvall getting cooled down. The Moose cool down zone. Probably one of the favorite places for these guys right now. What are we looking at, 75-plus degrees right now?
Yeah, I think 76 was supposed to be the high today, so a warm day here in Georgia, and these guys definitely putting it all out there and ratcheting the temperature up along with the intensity.
So as we continue to watch riders check in, Russell, Duvall, Baylor, Bollinger, Strang checking in on the number 5 spot. We've only got the top 5 in, but we're looking for Jordan Ashburn in 6th, Ben Kelly in 7th, Lane Michael 8th. Pascal Rocknecker, I think, is still in 9th place, and Grant Baylor to round out the top 10. As we look at that Maxxis General leaderboard, there is Ben Kelly making his way to the finish line now. That puts him 7th place overall, maybe 6th place.
There's Ashburn right there. Ashburn just crossed the line. Well, we haven't seen Kelly yet, but he should be coming.
Well, if Ashburn is in and if Kelly is within that minute, we'll see him take over the 6th place position. But right now, Jordan Ashburn is your 6th place ride. Stu Baylor, no surprise there. Left a lot out there on the racetrack, including part of the jersey there. You can see those are the types of battles they get in out there. 2 races ago, he had his 2 front teeth knocked out. This race just asleep. So by all rights, I think this was a pretty good day for Stu Baylor in that department.
Absolutely. You know, he left there, everything out there. He's taking a seat on that machine. He's taking a load off, and we can see the jersey removed from the arm of Stu Baylor. And we're waiting. We're watching now. It looks like Ben Kelly has come in the lead in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Now we'll wait on Rocknicker and that battle over 3rd. Will it be Nick Davis or will it be Craig DeLong? And those two, one thing we haven't mentioned, those 2 great friends oftentimes travel together, train together, stay in the same motorhome. And now it's like, hey, man, only one of us can get the podium. I kind of want to have it. I think that's kind of what's going on out there.
Yep, you know they're going to battle. Here we go. There's Nick right
Davis.
there.
So don't know if we've already seen DeLong go through.
I didn't see either way either, but Fred Andrews ran down and said maybe, so.
There's DeLong.
All
so
right,
Davis has taken over the third place spot. He's got about 8 seconds on Craig DeLong. So about a mile and a half left to decide this one. And it looks like we may see that Fred Andrews Racing gas of Nick Davis on the podium. And we'll have to check, but the facts say this may be the first ever podium for a gas machine in our XC2 Pro Lights, or one of our pro classes at least.
I think you're right. I've never that I know of. We have to check the history books, but hopefully for the gas team and those guys putting a lot of work in, and taking a new bike and new riders, a new team for GNCC Racing. It's really cool to see them up on the podium, third race
and really no surprise with Fred Andrews jumping on board in that one. It seems like he could take any program and turn it around. I mean, when the Huskies first came around, who introduced him to GNCC? Fred Andrews Racing.
Yeah, and now we've got riders up there battling for overall wins on those machines. Obviously, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Lane Michael. There's a plethora of riders on those Husqvarnas, and like you said, Fred Andrews and Joey Maurer were the ones who helped bring them here to GNCC and get their feet wet.
Did a great job, and hey, you never know, we might have a 6th brand in here that's going to be a mean machine, and obviously we got Beta in here as well. So I mean, there's a couple of new brands that are coming out that's pretty good. I've seen some Shortcos, haven't seen any in the XC1 class, but there are some Shortcos and stuff out there as well. So it's becoming a lot of choice out there, I think.
Absolutely, and we're waiting and we're watching. Have we seen Pascal Rocknicker check in yet in the second place spot?
Yes.
Okay, so Rocknicker
he was 1 minute 39 seconds back of Ben Kelly. So Kelly's in, Rocknicker is in. We're waiting. We saw Nick Davis ahead of Craig DeLong there. So some changes going on there. We're waiting right now at the finish line to see if that's the way it's going to finish. And we're also down at Winner's Circle with Mikey Waynes and our overall winner, Caleb Russell.
Well, thanks, Rodney. Down here, Caleb Russell, man. I don't know how the heart rate's doing for you, but the heart rate for us is just out of control, man. Talk to us about this battle you had out there today.
That was fun. It was got a great start. We figured out a little technique that we're going to keep secret. But I don't know. It's so hit and miss with me. I mean, some days I'll be battling for that whole shot. Some days I'm dead last. But I got a great start, got a whole shot, and I was like, whew. And just kind of set the tone, and I made a little, I went into a little mud hole, and I stuck the front end, and I tipped over, and Ricky and Bollinger got around me, and I kind of just let them ride. They were going faster than I wanted to go on the first lap, and I was just content. And they're halfway through. We were all still in a big group, and Thad was up there leading, and it just kind of worked out in my favor today. I was able to I knew what I wanted to do when Thad and I were up front, and I knew what he was kind of trying to do too. We were, both kind of cruising and waiting for that last lap and a half. And there's a long, it's a long lap here today, so kind of tried to wait to that last lap. And then I was able to make the move and get in front, and just set out on a pretty fast pace, what I felt like. And Thad was able to hang right there, and we diced it back and forth a couple times. This track, when you're going that fast and there's that many lines out in the woods, and you can kind of, cut inside and make moves going that fast, it's really fun. We had a great battle. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. And I was able to, he got in front of me around the 6.5, 7 mile marker. And then right before we got to 9, I was able to get him back and, hold on. But that was definitely pushing, and had a couple close calls.
There you go, guys. Caleb Russell, 3 for 3 to start this 2018 season.
Wow. That looked like a guy that just had fun. It really, I mean, honestly, he sounded like he had fun, and he even made mention of how fun it was battling like that.
Yeah, I think it's great that they're good competitors, and you can see them do the knuckles after the race, and they both want to win, and they're both great shape and fast, and really a good match for each other, and that's always fun when you get to race like that, and it looks like really push each other and super clean racing and attacking every second. These guys, have the mental warrior of knowing when they're training every day of the week that who they want to beat.
Well, there's the Rockstar Husqvarna of Thad Duvall as he makes his way into the winner's circle there, and Mikey Wayne's going to be getting a word with him as well. you know, I have to think that even though he came up a little short, that too had to be fun for him. We'll find out in his interview when Mikey gets a chance to talk to him here, but I'm sure it wasn't as much fun for him as what it ended up being for Caleb.
Never is quite as much fun.
So right now, the Moose cool-down zone is the hot spot, if you will. Everybody trying to get cooled down. Looks like Thad Duvall has done just that. Mikey, are you ready?
I'm ready, guys. Down here with second place finisher, Thad Duvall, man, what a wild finish to this one. Maybe not necessarily, well, I know it's not the result you were looking for, but man, talk to us about this Georgia round.
Yeah, you know, I'm happier with today's ride than the last two races for sure. Even though about one in South Carolina, I still didn't feel like I rode the best I could. But today, man, I laid it all on the line. I tried to lead I actually got in the lead, and dude, I looked back and there was like 7 dudes behind us. I'm like, holy smokes, everybody's right here. So I put the hammer down, and I think me, Caleb, and Bollinger actually got away from them guys a little bit, and I don't know, shifted up another gear and decided when I got the 2-lap board, I said it's time to go. And you know, it was like roles reversed this time. Caleb kind of locked onto me, and you know, I pulled us a pretty good gap, and yeah, we passed each other like 2 or 3 times the last lap, but I don't know, I'm happy with today. You know, he rode good, I rode good, rode the best I could, and the bike worked awesome today, man. The track was awesome. I love coming back to this place. It's one of my favorite places for sure, and yeah, just go home and work the next 3 weeks and come back and try to win again.
Try to win again, man. One more thing. Congratulations on the baby.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited. Me and my wife are having a baby, so I guess the next generation is hopefully coming up.
There you go, guys. Thad Duvall with the second place finish today.
And congratulations again to Thad Duvall as he picks up a second place position here. And as we were watching the finishes, Nick Davis does check in the number 3 spot, taking that gas to the podium. So Fred Andrews has got to be pretty pumped up about that right now. So congratulations, Fred Andrews Racing and Nick Davis for getting that on the podium for the XC2 Pro class. There, our third place position finisher, Teely Energy's Stu Baylor. He certainly come a gun in the day. Didn't get the start that he got in Florida a couple of weeks ago, back in about 9th, 10th place position on that first lap. But man, he put his head down and charged to get to that number 3 spot.
Hey, Stu, congratulations on the race, man. Looking a little winded after this one.
Yeah, you know, I got sick the first lap. As soon as we hit the woods, my stomach started getting a little upset. I don't know if it was something I drank, something I ate. I don't know. I just had to pull over and puke a few times, and, you know, it put me, I think, outside of the top 10, which was tough for me to come back from. But, you know, it is what it is, racing. You know, I didn't do anything abnormal. Everything was what I'm used to doing, so I really don't know what happened. But, yeah, I got sick that first lap and basically dealt with that all day. And then finally, you know, I was like, all right, this is it, you know. I can't throw it away. I think when I was about 7th place, I was like, all right, it's time to go. You know, these guys, they're right there. And I was closing the gap, and, you know, we would close the gap and then hit another XC1 rider and kind of get held up, and it was back and forth like that. You know, I knew I had the speed, just wasn't my day.
Well, you got a couple weeks off, man. Recoup, regain, and come back out strong.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's gonna be a hell of a year. You know, we just got to stop Caleb. I'm sick of it, man. I like him and all, but I'm tired of seeing him win.
There you go. Stu Baylor is hungry. Your third place finish today out of the XC1.
Well, there you go, man. And I'd say that Thad Duvall probably thinks this and feels the same way. He's tired of seeing Caleb win as well. So they're all going to go back to the drawing board and try to get it done here for a few weeks from now. I think we got, what, a 3-week break coming up before we head to Morganton, North Carolina, the Steel Creek GNCC.
We got Ben Kelly coming up next, Rodney.
All righty, Ben Kelly up to the podium next as we congratulate him on his big win here in the XC2.
We see those reverse number plates, the 530. We got the green numbers on the white plates instead of the white numbers on the green plates. That signifies your points leader.
That just switched, right? Yeah, that just switched around. So he is the new, coming into this one with some high expectations, it looked like.
Yeah, they were tied, him and Josh Toth, with each a win and a second. So now it'll be Ben Kelly in sole possession of that points lead after this one.
All righty, let's head down to Mikey Waynes here in a moment when he's ready to talk to our XC2 winner.
Well, Ben Kelly,
It's official. You came into this one tied for the points lead. After today with the first place finish, you're solely in first, man.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. I was really excited coming into this weekend just because I've never raced here, so it was a new track for me. And when I checked it out Saturday, it looked really fun. And yeah, I just didn't get the best start. I wasn't really prepared. I was waiting to hear the 10-second, but we never got it. And then yeah, I just charged all day. It wasn't easy. Pascal was riding really fast, and I would catch him, make a mistake, he would pull again. He was going really good, but happy to finally get around him near the end and put a gap in and take another win. I'm pumped.
There you go, guys. Ben Kelly, first place in the XC2, your sole leader.
Well, there you go. Ben Kelly pulls out ahead and in the points. And sets the stage, I think, for a great championship in doing so. You got Ben Kelly, you got Josh Toth, they're key players, but Pascal Rachenecker is going to be a player. I mean, he proved that today. I think, you know, just because he came up a little short, we got to remember he's still new to the game. GNCC 3 hours. It's hot one today, man. So if you weren't prepared for that one, both mentally and physically, it could have been just that little edge that you were missing.
He's ridden 4 GNCCs in his career. He's got a win, a second, and 2/3. I don't think he's doing too bad.
Not at all.
Second today.
Yeah, a second today, and he had 2/3 to start off the season, second today, and a win at his first round. So he kind of went a little backwards. He got that win, got those 2/3. Now he got a second, so I'm sure wins are coming his way if he keeps at it and keeps grinding away the way he has. I think we should be just a couple minutes away from seeing just who does, in fact, get the win in that XC3. FMF XC3 class, and when we came by here, unless we missed somebody, I think it may have been the number 100 of Jason Raines. I did not see the 941 of Chris Vendetti come by.
I saw, I think, the 99.
I saw 99 of Cody Barnes, I think, second, and then the 37 of Jesse Ansley in third.
Really? Okay.
Again, we might have missed somebody, so we'll update that here in just a moment if we still have time. But those guys should be working their way towards the finish. Jason Raines, as a matter of fact, should probably be just about to the finish line based on when he came by here.
You're right. And just seeing out here, JoJo Bowden, it looks like has finally put the whole day together. He's rolling still, so good for him to get potentially his first win of the season, because he's had the talent the first 2, but you got to put the whole race together until that black and white checkered flag.
That's right. It's not over till the checkered flag waves and the fat lady sings, and I didn't hear any singing.
Maybe we can get Rodney to sing a little.
Yeah, sure, you want to do that. 10 seconds is about all I can sing.
But you sing it so well.
I always joke I couldn't carry a tune if it had a handle on it. So
yeah, that's me.
The trouble. I'll be my wife and daughter are always joking around. I usually have my headphones on. If I'm vacuuming the house, singing at the top of my lungs like Bon Jovi or something crazy. They don't even know what or who I'm singing. I'm so bad, but I am loud. So sing like nobody's listening, right? And they won't want to be when I'm around.
I can just see Steve Hatch running around his house singing
living on a prayer.
Living on a prayer.
There is Vendetti, so he is definitely not the leader anymore. Looks like he may have run out of steam a little bit there. So the only rider that we're missing that was up in the mix that I don't think we saw come by is the 309 of Alex Teagarden. He could be the X factor. He might pop in there unexpectedly. But my phone died, so I don't have any updates. You guys let me know how that XC3 battle pans out.
They haven't updated on my phone, so we're...
Actually, Jason Raines has checked in with the lead. He had a 1 minute and 28-second lead over Cody Barnes whenever they came through at the end of 5. So we did see Barnes go through, so we should be expecting to see him check in here in a few moments. And unless Jesse Ansley got around Chris Vendetti.
He did. He definitely did.
So
Vendetti just came by. Ansley came by several minutes ago.
Okay, well, then Ansley should have that third-place position then, if not up to second. Well, it'll be tough to catch up to Cody Barnes, but there was only 26 seconds, so any mistakes might have been able to be capitalized. All right, heading down to second place in the XC2 250 Pro class, and, of course, Pascal Rachenecker.
Skip that. I got Nick Davis, third place out of the XC2. But that's all right. We'll talk to Nick, man. Nick, talk to us about, you got to feel good about this one, man, getting up on the podium here in the XC2 today. I know you've had a few rough races.
Yeah, it's been really the last year of my career has been a struggle. I got hurt real bad at Big Buck last year and life-flighted, and been playing catch-up ever since. And you know, I'm lucky enough to have Gas and FAR, Fred Andrews Racing, you know, to give me a shot. And you know, Big Buck, I kind of made a rookie mistake and was back. And then, you know, Florida was a little struggle. But today we put it all together. We got a good start, and I kind of rode tight first couple laps, but then I loosened up, and luckily I put a last lap charge, and I ended up getting Craig and got third, so I'm super happy.
Well, good work, Nick. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Is this the first gas on the XC2 podium?
Yeah, that's right. We broke history today.
There you go, right there. Nick Davis breaking history in the XC2 on the gas.
Well, congratulations, Nick Davis, on the accomplishment here today, bringing that thing up, and congratulations on your accomplishments over the last year. Yeah, you did have a struggling year over the course of the last 12 months, but, man, keeping his head high, pushing forward, staying optimistic, that's good stuff, and that's what brings you out on top.
I'll tell you what, I've seen great men quit or take a step back at much less than what Nick Davis has been through in the last couple of years. To see him back up there on that XC2 Pro podium, that's a huge step for him, and we can only hope that gives him the firm footing that he needs to wrestle himself back into top form and be ready to roll when this series comes back around in 3 weeks and he becomes a week in and week out battle for that podium place or even wins in that XC2 Pro Lights.
Well, it's been a great day, guys. Really appreciate you being around, Johnny. It's a lot of fun, man, and great race call with you, Steve. A lot of great speculation. I think what we'll all take away from this is it was a great return back to Georgia and Aonia Pass. Well, I think that's going to do it for us all. On behalf of Mikey Wayne, Steve, Johnny, myself, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Good day, everybody.